We've been talking shit this whole time. It's just now our faces are on it.
Yeah. Oh no, Discord's doing this thing. What's it doing? Ah, there we go. Sorted, we're all good.
Keep forgetting I've got mod view.
I just realized, like, when I was doing the just chatting with the election, it was fun actually having access to all the like all the mod stuff, because I could just like normally I'm in game and I would have to like tab out for access to any of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I think I'm actually just going to reblog the previous post. Because that'll make it easier for folk. And then love a wee bit of embedding.
Oh, there's already people here.
Hey. Obviously raring to go. It's all part of the plan. Hey Kai, hey Tundra.
Ah, your original one didn't work because you posted it for mobile, so it's not got the embed.
Ah, no, it's because I posted it on... even though I copied the link that I normally post, if I post it from the app, it automatically puts a mobile one.
Yeah, I just realised that why it wasn't working. So, go back in and do that one again.
For whatever reason, Twitter really struggles to update the title of the stream. So I've posted it still thinks I'm playing Horizon, which is a bit annoying, but hey, what more could you manage? But well, I suppose now it's time for the face reveals, right? Let's see, hopefully the scene all works flawlessly. But hello. We're now working, I think.
Hello!
And hopefully everyone can hear both of us flawlessly. We both have faces. I mean, you see my mug enough, but...
Joy finally has a face.
Yeah.
Thank you!
I was gonna say it was the first time when I was a video called when I video called Joy for the first time, I was like, fuck, Joy's got a room together.
It's just this one section that's together, there's nothing else.
Hey, rowing away. Welcome to the stream. And Sky, glad to see that you've already clocked the sound alerts and you're going right in there. I will need to probably toggle with the volume at some point, but we now have annoying sound alerts that everyone can blast throughout the entire stream.
Good thing I have them muted so I can hear you and not us on the loop, because that's the only way I can do these things is if I have the one thing going, because if I have both, then I'm snookered.
Yeah.
For my concentration.
Yeah, disaster show. And Tundra makes a very good point. He knows all about framing. Hello, feels
True.
good, man. Bonjour, and hello, shiniest crow. Hope you're doing all right. We'll be getting started pretty soon. But obviously, this is a new thing, so
yeah.
your feedback and critique is extremely welcome. Judge us. Now that Joy's actually on camera, it means that she's partly responsible. So
I did not sign up for that.
Feels good, man is right in there with an attack on Tetley. Are you talking about the tea company? What's the tea company doing? What have they been up to?
Is there a tea scandal I'm not aware of?
A personal vendetta against Tetley. Fair enough. I was gonna say I thought there was like they've come out and said that, you know, Thatcher's good or something.
I mean, that would be grounds for having your own Boston Tea Party and just throwing everything in the Clyde, to be honest.
Yeah, Clyde Tea Party. Hey, Scala, how you doing? You were trying to open a package. Two of them were stuck together. Ah, two tea bags. Yeah. Aren't tea bags normally kind of in pairs? Both of them ripped. Okay, that's a tragedy.
That's
Well,
a tragedy. Yeah.
that's what you get for buying Tetley though, because the best tea is Thompson's in Scotland. If you get Thompson's tea, it's the best cup of tea. Okay. We've already got discourse. Go on.
I worked in a tea house. I actually have a certificate in master tea blending, and the best Scottish tea. I mean, it's not bad. Thompson's is not bad, but literally Scottish blend is designed to work the best with Scottish water.
Scottish water, of course. No, that's very fair.
So.
Good evening, Tontfillery. Thanks very much for the follow. I wasn't dissing Scottish blend. It's just not my go-to.
Not your favourite, yeah. It depends on where you are for the type of water that you have as well. But in Scotland, Scottish blend is designed specifically for Scottish soft water, and then Yorkshire tea actually works pretty well in Scotland as well. I can just see Mothman's shadow going over the background of the screen there.
I was just trying to. I remember every time that I've taken tea to China. Funnily enough, of course, I would be taking tea to China as opposed to getting it there.
Yes.
But if I wanted like that taste of home, the water would never actually like work with it.
Yeah. Oh, it's the thing here. Like Mum sent me Scottish blend when I moved here, and it tastes awful in the water. It just doesn't taste good.
As Jessica's mentioning, it's Thompson's Scottish blend that does the job. So it's not generic Thompson's, it's Thompson's Scottish blend. Not very available in Norway. That is a pain. But yeah, there was quite a nice tea that Jessica got once from, I think it was like the Balmoral in Edinburgh, and it's like heather tea. And it's like actually the leaves, and you have to put it in the wee sieve thing, or was it the tea? It's not the tea dispenser. It's the something else.
It's like a little tea canister that you put. Then you put your little sieve on the bottom, and you spoon it out, and you get It actually works extremely well with heather honey as well. That's a really intense flavour that you don't really get anywhere else. But that's I could talk ages about Scottish teas because that was my life for about 10 years.
I must admit, every time we talk, I think I learn like some deep like joy lore that like I've got no idea about. It's like, oh, you were a tea expert? Well, of course.
It's one of those things. People are like, "How did you have so many careers?" And I now know the answer is ADHD, and I get bored easily, and I like to go to jobs that can teach me things. So I get so far, and then I jump to the next job. So
hey, just you get to master lots of different things. That's the fun bit. Yeah. It was the loose tea from the Balmoral, which was from Oban. Got you. Do I have a ski and do? Not on me. No. Just fucking pull it out on stream. Nah, I don't. Is this just chatting but now more joyful, or is there an actual interview subject? So this is a bit of a new one for us, Joy, because we've got lots of things we would easily like to talk about, but obviously we're more than happy to take questions about tea or anything else. There's obviously a couple of things that have happened in the news today. One of which was that supporting the monarchy is now a minority position in Scotland, which is pretty groovy. Hey, Tontfillery, thanks very much for the Prime. Where did that sound fucking come from?
I'm so glad I have everything muted and I can't hear things.
Oh, Jessica's playing the Wii sound. This is very long.
I'm gonna unmute and put it low down so I can listen.
Please tell me someone else can hear the Wii sound.
Oh, I can hear it, yeah.
This isn't DMCA-able, right? I don't know how... Jesus, this is the longest fucking sound alert I've ever heard.
I think I know from my perspective, I don't know about anyone else, but you can get away with 15 seconds of a sound before it becomes DMCable.
Great.
So you get 15 seconds before it becomes an issue.
What? Well, this is definitely over 15 seconds now. Jesus fucking Christ.
Well, just leave it on in the background. It's just the theme tune for the rest of the stream.
Jessica, what have you done? Oh my god.
Oh, I'm frozen apparently.
Oh no.
At least I'm frozen while smiling.
You're still there as... You made it my new subscriber sound. Jesus. Okay, we're gonna have to fucking edit that. Thanks, Jessica. You've sabotaged me. Jesus fucking Christ. Okay. I am gonna have to really change that because that was the longest subscriber sound ever.
It's brilliant though.
Oh yeah. Fuck's sake. Right, okay. How to change the alert sound. We all love the Queen here. No, we don't. Back to what we were actually fucking talking about. The monarchy is now only supported by 45% of the population of Scotland, which I think is quite interesting.
Yeah, I was surprised it was higher than that to begin with, but I grew up in a very anti-monarchist household, so that could be just my own experiences with that. But yeah, it's yeah, good.
I mean, I like
That's all I have.
It's funny though, because the monarchy has always just kind of like existed as a, like, it was there for me. I think my mum's mum was a wee bit more on the Queen side, and my great auntie, my mum's dad's sister, was like one of the sort of people who would have like photos of like Diana up in her house and shit like that. And it just like, I think my mum was kind of like didn't really get into it as much. And then my dad's side, like, absolutely not. There was never any like talk about the kind of monarchy or anything like that. And I do feel like as we, like, you know, once the Queen goes, and she will at some point, she's an old woman.
Yes.
I get the feeling that there's just not going to be the same kind of appetite anywhere for the.
It's the end of a. It's the end of a mindset, to be honest. Like I can see the whole, you know, like, oh, they bring in money through tourism. The buildings bring in tourism. The history brings in tourism. The current monarchy is just embarrassing itself constantly.
Oh, fuck! Thanks, Love Psycho. No one's subscribe until I get this changed. Jesus Christ.
We're back with the Wii music.
Yep. Fuck. I don't know how to change it.
I mean, you can still hire people to dress up as the royal guard and
True.
stand outside. You don't have to have the Queen and or whatever Charles is going to use for his name. Yeah, but it's all performative anyway. We don't need to have the actual royal guard. You could just have people in costume. I mean, the Scottish, you go to Edinburgh Castle, even when the Queen's not in residence, you'll see Scottish soldiers there. So why would we have to have the monarchy to have, you know, the military on display? We don't.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you could just, like, it's funny because all of the leftovers from the French monarchy actually bring in more tourism money in general, because you can actually go inside the palaces. Like, people explore Versailles. There's still the kind of like vibe. Okay, I've managed to fix it. You shouldn't get another Wii sound. Jesus, okay, we just need to keep talking, otherwise it'll be problematic.
We'll just keep talking over it. It's fine, we'll just keep talking a mile a minute.
What if we did it along... Okay, we're good. It's just whether or not, like, me going da 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 over the top of it would actually shield us. But I think we're fine now. We're fine. Yeah, you can... Of course,
starting to get a crick in my neck.
That's okay. Take it
I was
easy.
moving I've been staring at the chat in the bottom left-hand corner because my Discord's on the other side, so I'm moving things about so I'm not injuring my neck. There we
Yeah,
go.
good shout. Make it as big as you possibly can. Would we be okay with a cheddar wheel for Prime Minister?
I mean, it can do any worse than Boris Johnson.
True. Who is awful. But yeah, I think from a monarchy perspective, it will be that kind of end of an era thing as far as the Queen goes. Obviously, she's. You know what? Monarchy would be better off ending now, actually, because when the Queen finishes, it's like longest serving monarch ever. Head of state for X amount of time. I mean, are we really gonna get like Charles for about 10 years before he fucking dies?
He doesn't. I'm not trying to be mean, but he doesn't look well.
He
Like the
doesn't.
pictures I've seen, he looks very unwell recently, and you could argue it's stress with his mum and his dad and everything else, but he does not look like a well man.
Yeah,
And
did you see his fingers? He's got he's got like really really like sausagey type fingers. Like,
yeah, there's a lot of swelling to me
Yeah.
because it looks to me like it's some sort of edema where he's got some sort of swelling happening, which wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
But yeah, as Tom Fuller says, I think the monarchy should die with the Queen. I don't think we have any use for it anymore.
I mean, it's just becoming like another kind of just famous family. I mean, what the biggest one of the things that was happening last week was like William and Kate came up and visited Scotland, and they went and they went to like a homeless charity, and they went to the NHS, and they had a talk about mental health, and like that's all well and good, but I find it a wee bit patronizing coming from people who just genuinely don't have any sort of stake in the game,
Yeah.
They just like it's one of those things that they get to kind of like mentally tick off as something that they've done. Oh, we went and visited the peasantry for today. How is this still going? It's deleted. Come on, I deleted it. Fucking hell, stop. Okay, we just need to keep talking again. This is... Oh my good god. Lurking while trying to work on finals. Best of luck, Rose Time. I deleted this. This is a fucking disaster. Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, we just need to keep talking.
If it's OBS, we may have to reset it for it to take effect.
I did
Fantastic.
Yeah. Fuck. This is... Yep. It's just because it's too damn long. Thanks very much, Bran Feather, for the follow.
If I tell people on Tumblr that if you can harass us with the wee sign by following and subscribing to you, you will actually make enough for partnerships.
yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the plan. It's just that now, obviously, they're going to be reviewing. They'll be reviewing all of my previous streams, and they'll be like, "Hold on a minute." Yeah, well,
It'll be fine.
Yeah, hopefully there's no one with like eyes on. Hopefully the head of Nintendo isn't watching. The stream's like a family reunion, chaotic and hellish.
Chaotic and the Wii is playing in the background.
Sorry, that Wii music and then the horny bonk at the end was just unbelievably perfect. Yeah, no, we'll have to reboot OBS if we want to, so we're stuck now. Fucking hell. Fubimaki, you're the head of Nintendo. Nice. Well, tell us when Breath of the Wild 2's coming out.
Love hopping in here zero context for the Wii music. The Wii music is Jess made the Wii music into the subscribe sound.
Yep.
So we're stuck with it.
Yeah, so chaos has now ensued. Does anyone watch Eurovision? I don't tend to watch Eurovision. However, I do like learning when the UK gets beat. Because I don't think the UK ever deserves to win Eurovision because the UK is terrible.
Pretty much.
Full stop. End of point.
I only learn about Eurovision through Tumblr gifs and
Yeah.
or TikToks. That's how I've been absorbing Eurovision this year. No, I used to watch it when I was back home, but I don't watch it over here now because it's harder for me to get to it. But I see good things. I saw a subwoofer being given a banana, so that looks
I
fun.
did see that.
A cheese slicer. What sort of cheese slicer?
What the fuck question's that? No, I've not used a cheese slicer recently. Do you mean a grater? The UK song was a vibe. Again, not heard it. Germany felt very betrayed that the UK left us alone at the bottom. But I mean, like I said, the UK is just rubbish. Watched it for the first time in forever. The Italian band Manskin, is it Manskin or Måneskin? Was worth the rest
No
of
idea.
the bullshit.
I'm sorry, I'm following Feels Good Man doing with the cheese slicer in chat. That's taking all my attention at the moment.
Cheese slicer is a Norwegian invention.
I've used cheese wire, but I've never used an actual slicer.
We're not talking about a grater though, right?
Yeah, we're not talking about a grater, we're talking about an
Right.
actual slicer.
Or could you not just use a knife?
You could use a knife.
Yeah. In fact, is there not a thing called a cheese knife?
There is.
The reason why
What if Scotland gets independence and joins Eurovision? Then I will watch it.
But yeah, I mean, if Scotland gets independence and joins, then it's no longer the UK, and therefore we deserve to win. And I think the first time we compete, I reckon we'll end up winning it.
Yeah.
Got a very nice one in Amsterdam.
I just eat my cheese wheel whole. What is happening in the chat? We're talking
Why
about
the
Eurovision. Everyone's talking about cheese.
Because we've got sorry, I've got a cat that's wanting to get out. 1 wee second. What you like?
There will be no one in here that's against Scottish independence, or if they are, then they're not. They'll probably be on the fence about it. Iron brew fountains for Eurovision, yes.
Iron brew fountains in fucking general.
That'll be what happens when we get independence. They'll turn on the fountains in George Square again. It's just iron brew.
Yeah. I mean, I really like the idea of more like a more poppy use of bagpipes. Like you get kind of rock band bagpipes now that are like really high energy. So I reckon we could totally do something like that. Spazzy Chompy, this is a very fun stream to put on in the background while spinning. Great. glad we can assist.
We're falling into that niche again where we're doing body doubling for all the ADHD people following me who are like, oh great, it's something to put on in the background, and it's just us bopping along in the background with chaos and elixir brain. Smooth function.
This is actually a productivity stream, so if anyone starts working on anything while we've got us in the background, you get superpowers and then you're good to go.
Normally it's me using it for productivity, but I can't do that because I'm on camera, so you're not. The updates for Notting Hill will be delayed by a couple of days.
A live Notting Hill drawing. you just live typing it in the background and me reading it out word for word. Every new word you type.
That would not work. That would be you'd have to put up with me backspacing constantly. That would not be good.
Just the word scenting over and over again.
Oh, I've used it a couple of times already, and
fantastic.
I balked when I did it, but it's necessary.
Is anyone else making crafts with the stream in the background? You're making bead lizards. What is a bead lizard?
Oh, they're great. You should make a Dracula one for the Dracula Daily meme where he's crawling around like a lizard. That would be a fun one.
Silver Utah Raptor, thank you very much for the follow. Hope you're having a good day. Yep, that is exactly where that was born out of, Brandfeather. It was Notting Hill with a hard K, and it's
turned into fan fiction of the actual movie Notting Hill. So it's Julia Roberts railing Hugh Grant that's currently happening in my whip folder. So that's a fun thing I get to read out eventually because it's his fault. So You get to deal with it.
Excellent. Fantastic. Can't wait to do that. That'll be a full stream, by the way. And the nice thing is, I don't think you're going to issue a DMCA takedown for me reading out your work. Success.
No.
Oh, we're being asked what our favourite cheese is.
To me, you can't beat a Scottish cheddar.
Yeah,
As far as I'm concerned.
There's some really good like Orkney cheddars
Yeah.
that are just like spot on. Although for like a soft cheese, I like Port Salut. Like
that's a good one.
The nice French one. Yeah, that's probably my two. You're writing cover letters, UNMC. Good stuff. Is this for jobs, I'm guessing? You've been putting off a cover letter for 5 months. How long's the job opening for? Nobody cares about Norway. I care about Norway.
We do care about Norway. It's hard to follow the chat, so if you're saying something, then we're struggling to see it.
Fuck. Now I need
People
to
just think I'm
speak
Swedish.
with an ASMR voice for the next
fantastic.
30 seconds. Thank you very much, Blind Panda Bear. I will have to speak like this. This is an introduction to absolutely everyone who wants to know what on earth that channel point reward is. You will hear me speak in an overly Scottish accent. I can speak even more Scottish if you like. It's really up to you. But this is the start. And Joy, please interrupt me. The more you interrupt me, the less I need to actually speak like this.
I'm wearing my headset, so it's going right into my brain. You genuinely could apply to Headspace or Cam, and you could make money doing that. You're actually better than the guy that does the Loch, whatever it is, that does the actual ham-fisted Scottish accent.
This is all based off of it's Loch Dormant.
That's it, yeah.
And so anyone who likes to listen to sleep sounds, like if you have Headspace, you'll know that the sleep casts, one of them's called Loch Dormant, and it's just the most like overly Scottish, like relaxing vibe thing that they try and do. All redeem hydrate. No, we're not. No. You're not making me drink more water than need be. Okay, that's plenty. Don't do it.
I'll take a hydrate.
yeah. Joy will sort me out. But yeah, it's an overly Scottish accent, but it's also done to like it's also done to kind of just I don't know. It's overly Scottish. I remember once when I was in fact, Joy, you take that question from Sky.
What's on my shirt? It's the Cryptid Society t-shirt. So I've got my Mothman, I've got a werewolf, I think it's supposed to be Bigfoot, and there's a flying saucer and some other things as well.
Amazing.
Just an excuse to look at my tits on stream.
Well, the only reason I'm wearing the vest is because my tattoo's still in healing mode, but also apparently it's a thirst trap. So Tundra.
I mean, you have to go with your audience what they want.
Yeah, I mean Tundra basically said, "Look, we need to see you in vests more often." What's on my shirt? Absolutely nothing. Like literally nothing. And I can actually show off my tits on stream if I really want to get to that level. Violate terms of service. But yeah, there ain't nothing down here. It's just a white vest. Very, very cool. And feels good, man. I do appreciate the fact that you think that I have visible abs. Really appreciate that. I'm glad that I give off the vibe of having visible abs. That is actually the plan. Yeah.
Needs more torso shots.
Yeah, exactly. So like if I have a slightly more flexible camera mount, it means that you'll be able to see me from like at least like the chest up as opposed to just above the chest, because my nipples are actually down here somewhere. What a weird fucking tangent that was.
It's my fault for bringing up tits, and it just kept going from there.
Yep, I know. Fuck's sake. But on the bright side now that I can show off my tattoos a bit more on stream, because normally I've got all these tattoos and they tend to be covered by a t-shirt. So at least
I
now.
didn't even know you had that many, to be honest. I knew you had some, but I didn't know you had that many.
Yeah, normally it's just like kind of hidden and you see it round the sleeve. But no, I do have like, I mean, the kind of oldest one that I've got is like one of the dragon one that kind of wraps all the way round and kind of goes up near my chest. So that's like one of the older ones, but nah, I've got a few. First stream with the new camera will be like Eye for Scotland now with more tits. Instead of Eye for tits, brackets, sadly mine, close brackets.
There's Mothman going back in the background again. I like how it's just a shadow figure. It's not intentional, it's just the way that our house works out.
In fact, Mothman just exists as a shadow figure. There's not a body there. If I had to pick a favourite tattoo, which would it be? On my body or on another body? If it's mine, I mean, like I like all my tattoos. The like some of them haven't probably aged as well as I would have liked, but my own tattoos, I really like my narcel tattoo that goes all the way down like my forearm. So for those Lord of the Rings fans out there, I've got narcel, and on the side I need to actually lean. So I've got the one ring obviously there, and I've got a bunch, but like I don't know, they all did their job at various points of my life, and I dare say there's a couple more. Do I have any Star Wars tattoos? No, I do not.
I just want to bring attention to Blind Panda Bear's Tit for Tat stream title.
Tap for tit, actually.
Tap for tit, yeah.
The more tattoos I get, the more likely I'll get my tits out on stream. That's a deal. So you're considering getting a kilt? Feels good, man. Feel free, crack on. They are cool. Do you have a kilt, Joy? Have you worn a kilt before?
I don't have a kilt. I have the kind of the skirts, but I don't have like a full on kilt. And I actually left it at home because I didn't want to transport it because it was a pretty expensive wool skirt that I had. Yep. But I ended up leaving it at home with my parents because it's honestly, I'd only wear it at home because over here I don't want to look like a tourist.
Yeah.
That's my concern here, is that if I wear it to places, I will look like one of them.
But that's actually cool though, because you could do like a bit of role reversal, because it's really obvious when you see American tourists here. So yeah. just go and do your thing.
It was really fun for us because when we got married, Mothman's family all came over to our wedding. So we had it was great. We had, I think it was 40 Americans coming off of a 14-hour flight, and then we were getting married 2 days later. So we had a lot of stuff happening for us. But they were all, we were in Edinburgh for going up and down the Royal Mile, and they were all going, hey, I didn't realise kilts were so expensive. And we're going, yeah, real kilts are really expensive.
Yeah.
You can go to the tourist shop at the top of the Royal Mile and
get one at 20 quid.
20 quid.
Yeah. Blind Panda Bear, that threw me off. An absolute belter there.
Tit streams for bird watching.
Might eventually move to Scotland. You'd be more than welcome. Feels good, man. It's a good place to be.
I'm just trying to get back.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get back.
How did the 40 Americans manage a crash course in Scottish culture within 2 days before the wedding?
It was really fun, actually. We so they have, I don't know if it's become a thing in Scottish culture, but they have a thing here called the groomsmen's dinner, which is kind of like the rehearsal for the actual wedding. And we don't really do wedding rehearsals in Scotland. And I say that with some authority because I also used to cater weddings. Yeah. And it was a big, like, we booked out the top of was it La Dolce Vita, the Italian restaurant in George Square in Glasgow. We booked out the entire top floor, and it was actually really funny because there was a Scottish wedding happening there, and we had more people than the wedding. So we were all cheering them on, like, "Hey, congratulations!" And the family's all going, "What the hell?" But there was that. they adapted really well to Scottish culture, and they all kept saying, "Oh, I'll never eat haggis. I'll never eat haggis. It sounds disgusting." Blah blah blah. And for our wedding, we had appetizers that were basically haggis wrapped in mozzarella and then deep fried.
Ah, yes, now you're talking.
Everybody was just shoveling them into their face, and they were saying to me, "What is this?" And I'm going, "Haggis."
Yep.
And then we had Balmoral chicken as one of our wedding feast options.
That is always
and
a good
loved
option.
it.
Yeah.
Everyone loved it.
You can't go wrong with Balmoral chicken. It's an absolute crowd pleaser every single time, I find. Like, you cannot go wrong with it. Haggis is overrated, feels good, man. I disagree, actually.
It depends on. There's some of it that some of the very kind of the tin stuff isn't always that great. But if you get it from an actual butcher, it's good.
Aye. Balmoral chicken is chicken with haggis stuffed inside.
Yeah, it's chicken stuffed with haggis with usually a cream whiskey sauce.
Yeah, normally
mashed potato and neeps at the side. So that's it's a good one. But it was funny too because when we told everyone, we're having chicken for our wedding dinner, the Americans were kind of going the cheap option, and I'm going, well, what would you have? Because lamb's cheaper over here than it is.
Yeah,
like lamb is ridiculously expensive here. It's impossible to get. But they were all kind of thrown by that, and then they had Balmoral chicken, and they all loved it. But and we also had sticky toffee pudding for dessert, plus our wedding cake and everything else. But we were quite lucky because we had we booked out the entire hotel that we went to. We basically, my parents bought sections of the hotel for people. Like, his family paid for it, but my family booked it in advance. So they basically had full run of this hotel in central Glasgow. So they were basically running around mad, doing all sorts of fun things. And then we had a ceilidh band, and the Americans were all terrified they wouldn't know what to do, but they didn't realise that when you have a good ceilidh band, you have a caller, and that person shouts out the directions for you. So it was quite funny because we had 40-odd Americans learning how to ceilidh dance, and they were loving it. But they were all like so shy, and every single wedding I've been to here, nobody dances.
Oh,
they don't dance.
What?
It's a weird.
That's weird.
The music's all tends. Even if you have a band, I've noticed people don't tend to dance, and it kind of throws me a wee bit. And then we had for our wedding, there wasn't, no one was ever off the floor. Everyone was always dancing. So it was good.
How do Americans have fun at weddings? Because I've heard that some American weddings don't do drink either, which to me it sounds like a disaster. But yeah, it's an interesting one. Like you're actually giving me Nam flashbacks to the last wedding I was at. The one that
the one where you got COVID.
Yeah, the one that I got COVID, which sucked ass because I ended up looking after like someone else's children for the me and Jessica were invited. We were originally only invited in the evening, right? And I was like, cool, I'll turn up and I'll get pissed and I'll dance and that'll be us. But no, we were invited literally an hour to go before the ceremony. We were invited to the ceremony, and we ended up adopting 3 kids whose parents were ill with COVID. So I wonder who I caught COVID from. But yeah, it was like me and Jessica were sitting at the table where the mum and dad would have been, and we had the waiters like coming up being like, "And what do you think? What do you think your kids would like want? Do your kids like chicken nuggets, or do they prefer macaroni?" And I was like,
a glimpse into the future.
I was like, have you fucking considered asking them? I don't know. But yeah, that was fun. And then the band started. This is the cardinal sin when it comes to Scottish weddings. They started with Loch Lomond, but they didn't have a collar, and they basically asked everyone to do the Gay Gordons to Loch Lomond, right? Gay Gordons, fantastic song in its own right. Actually, probably one of my favourites. And then they just, and it wasn't even normally for Loch Lomond, the band's done by the end of the night and someone's playing it on Spotify, and you actually get the live audience kind of version. That's like the famous playing of Loch Lomond. But no, it was this band trying to do it, and it didn't have the same pace or anything like that. And you had to do the gig on to it. It was bad. Yeah.
That's a weird one. That is a weird one.
And I caught COVID, so it sucked.
Yeah. I felt bad when you told me that. You were planning on having a nice wee weekend with your book and a hot tub, and it was,
Yep.
no, I've actually been pulled into the wedding.
COVID. I'd taken your book with me. I had Hunger Pangs with me, and I remember the day after. The day after was when I finished Hunger Pangs, and I was like, I wanted to read Hunger Pangs throughout the day, maybe go for a walk, chill out in the hot tub, and go at the wedding in the evening. And it got robbed from me. So in a huff and not knowing that I had COVID, I finished Hunger Pangs on Sunday because I didn't want to speak to anyone. I was raging. The full day I was just raging. But yeah. I was like, I'm not sure if it's just like my experience looking at like Reddit and things like that, but Americans seem to go to like a bunch of weddings, like way more weddings, and obviously there's like way more people in America. But like, how big are your weddings in America? Because it genuinely sounds like
they're huge. So for context, I want to get the British reaction here and the Scottish reaction here from people in the chat.
Cool.
Our wedding was 100 people.
Yeah. Okay.
And John's family thought that was small, or Mothman's family thought that was small. Everyone knows his name anyway, it's fine.
Yeah.
But it was that kind of, they were kind of all going, oh, that seems really small and that's really intimate. And we couldn't find a venue big enough. We were struggling to find a venue big enough. And over here, when I come to weddings, it's 250 people easily, 300 people. They're renting out barns, they're renting out, like, you know, it was crazy. Like, we went to a cousin's wedding before COVID, easily 300 people there. And it was, that's kind of average. Nobody was, there's too much, you don't really get to interact with people, and it's
I mean, it's funny because you said 100 there, and I was like, I can see that. But then it's like someone describing 100 as intimate. I'm like, not quite.
Yeah.
Intimate's like 20 max, you know?
Yeah, we were struggling. Like, we had the whole at max capacity. Because we got married in the hotel, we had everything all in the one room. And it was fantastic, and we were at max capacity for safety standards. And every venue I went to was maximum 100 people, and I'm going, right, well, I have about 150, because at the night time it went up to 150, because when you take the chairs out, you could fit another 50 people in.
Yeah.
But my wedding was so much fun, but it was mostly because I worked weddings, so I basically said to the staff, how do you run things? Can you just do that? I don't care. I just basically handed everything to them, because I know how these things work, and I know if you just let the team do what they're going to do, you get the better experience than trying to micromanage it.
Yeah, no, 100%.
But it was, we got married at the, I can't remember the name of it. Blytheswood Square Hotel. It used to be the Blytheswood Square Hotel. And
there is a Blytheswood in Glasgow still. I think it might have rebranded. I don't think it's.
They got bought by somebody else.
Okay.
But right. to fit everybody, we had to rent the downstairs hall, the downstairs dining room, the cinema, and the upstairs bar for the reception, because that was the only way we could fit everybody in. We basically took over this hotel for like the weekend.
Aye.
And the hotel thought it was great.
It must be so fun because everyone's a wedding guest. So
yes,
like it must be as like a hotel employee. It must be so easy to just like not have to manage any other people's expectations because everyone's there for the wedding.
I think there was maybe only like 10 rooms that weren't booked out by us. And those people were just kind of, we didn't even, they were walking around and everything else, and we had Mothman's best men were all American, obviously, so they actually took the champagne off the waiters and they were walking around handing things out to people. And there was one person going, "Oh, we're not with the wedding. Don't care. Have a good time. Have a good day." There you go.
Yeah.
That was it was a culture shock for the staff, but we've got a very big happy family over here. Like, it's a very, they're up for a party basically.
As they should be.
So they fit in well with the Scottish culture, and it was funny because they were, we did the bacon rolls and the sausage rolls at midnight to keep you going, so that you soak up some of the alcohol in you, so that you don't die from alcohol poisoning. We did that at midnight because the wedding went on till 2 a.m. before the license means everything has to close.
Yep.
So we went, we had food at midnight, and all of his family were going, "This is amazing! Everyone should do that." And it was like, well, it keeps you going. It keeps you going for the party, and we were dancing until 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And then the band were like, that was amazing. Like, we've never had so many people so enthusiastic to learn Cayley before.
Yeah.
To
be honest, like a lot of credit has to go to the callers for that though. Like if you have a good caller that knows how to approach tables who are maybe like hunkered down and like, please don't let me stand up, and like can just gradually like goad them out rather than forcing them.
And again, we got lucky because the band I booked is the one that normally does, the kind of the Cayley music on Radio Scotland, BBC Radio Scotland.
Yeah.
I actually managed to get them.
Oh, brilliant! That's class.
Because of who I knew from all the wedding stuff that I did. Because I used to work at Glasgow University, which is, as Panicon pointed out, Desi weddings are usually 600. Yeah. I have done those. I did that wedding once at Glasgow University where they took over the museum, the main reception hall, and the cloister, and that was how they fit everybody in.
That's insane.
But I knew a lot of people from working in the wedding industry, and I was able to like kind of pull people in and be like, "Oh, can you do this at last minute?" I literally booked him 6 weeks before. He was like, "Oh yeah, we're not on the radio that weekend. We'll come do
it." That's class. I've seen that.
Great, fantastic. So,
seen that Beep Beep Burp, which is a great name. It's not unusual to invite co-workers and distant family friends and stuff. Yeah, I totally get that. I think it's just like, I don't know. I suppose if when me and Jessica get married, it'll be, well, at the moment, I'm just trying to think of how small can we make it. who can we cull from the guest list? as many people as we possibly fucking can, provided it's family, of course. We can remove as many family as possible. Then it's good, just to free up more of people we want.
More for friends.
Yeah, more for friends. Cayley's would be such an upgrade to normal American wedding music. Cayley's are an upgrade to any wedding ever.
They are.
It's like. It's funny though, I've been reminded. So there's an advert going on in the UK right now for Google, and it's all about kind of championing diversity. So it's like, feel free to ask any question is kind of what the whole Google thing. So you've got people who are writing questions about who's allowed to say certain types of like London slang. So like that's the first question that you see getting typed in, and obviously there was the whole thing with the racism in football with the English team. So it was kind of championed by Marcus Rashford, and he's the face of the Google advert and everything. So you get all these really, really hard hitting questions about questions about race, questions about how do we understand each other better, and all the rest. But like halfway through, there's this guy who's like, what's a Cayley? And I'm just thinking like, come on to fuck. Like you've got all these like really hard hitting questions about how can we understand each other better, how can we fight toxic masculinity, and how can we make sure that there's not racism, and it's like, what is a Cayley?
What's a Cayley?
And it's like, it's okay to ask. It's like, yeah, it's a Cayley. You're not going to get bullied for not knowing what a Cayley is.
You might.
You'll be dragged onto the dance floor, but
you will. You'll get dragged into Strip the Willow, and that'll be you traumatized for the rest of your life as you get flung.
I've got my there's not been many James Bond moments in my life. That's a lie, actually. There's only so many I can speak about, and one of the James Bond moments of my life has been we were doing Strip the Willow, and we were doing it at it was a Rabbie Burns night in Beijing, and Strip the Willow, for those who don't know, you kind of spin with your partner and then you go out to either side. It's a really, really hectic dance where you're basically blasting through as many like people as possible. You're spinning, then you're meeting in the middle, and then you're going out, and you go all the way down. Everyone's lined up in two straight
You're
lines.
meeting the whole party.
Yeah, you meet everyone, and it's speed dating but a dance, as Sky puts it. That's a good way of describing it. And I remember the sporran that I had on. One of the tassels fell off while I was dancing.
Oh no!
So it was one of those things. And one of the guy who was at the time, he was the first secretary of Scottish Affairs. He was dancing the same thing, and he picked it up. And as I was spinning, like, again, we're going really, really fucking fast. As I was spinning, I asked him to throw me the tassel, and I fucking caught it as I was doing the spin.
Done.
And it's a James Bond moment is the only way to describe it. It was probably the coolest I've ever been. It's been downhill since then, actually.
Yeah, you peaked. That was it.
Yeah. And nobody fucking caught it on film. But yeah, it was good. I've got a lot of good fun stories about weddings. Scottish weddings tend to be pretty good, if they're well kind of managed.
Yeah.
Which I dare say, under your careful watch, Joy, they were when you were running weddings.
I enjoyed doing weddings. I did enjoy it. I enjoyed it more than funerals, it has to be said. Because we also did funerals, but funerals were more likely to result in punch-ups than weddings, which you'd think it'd be the other way around with the amount of
lot
alcohol
of grief
and everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of grief, a lot of emotions, but yeah. My favourite wedding was actually it was at the chapel at Glasgow University, and the bride and the groom snuck off because they'd had enough, and they just left, and nobody could find them, and they slipped all the staff like a 20 each to be like, say you can't find us, and then just left because they'd done the ceremony, they got through the first of the meal, and then the party was another 7 hours after that, but they'd had enough, so they're just going, we're leaving, see you later. And the family were over for hours going, where's the bride? Where's the groom? And all the staff were going, just saw it. They were just round the corner. Yeah, you just missed them. But they were just overwhelmed. They were just having, I think the wedding was the parents wanted it.
Yep. It's always the fucking problem.
The parents wanted this big wedding, and they were quite happy to just elope type thing. So they did the thing. They did, they had their ceremony, they had their meal, and then they shot. So
to be honest, that's kind of class. Like
I expected them.
Like,
I was like,
not gonna lie, I
was planning my own wedding at the time, and I'm going, completely understand. Godspeed.
Yeah.
Run while you can.
Braver than the troops.
No,
so,
I
think there's a lot of things when it comes to like parents and what they would like for their kid who's getting married. Because there's someone that I know who's getting married, and it's kind of, I know that there was a group chat made for the hen night, and the lassie's really, really quiet, right? As in, doesn't want a loud fucking hen night. Definitely wouldn't want anything that would be associated with the kind of, I kind of want to say basic hen night. Like, doesn't want the inflatable penis, doesn't want the stripper, doesn't want anything like that. And like a group chat was set up to establish effectively that that's what she's getting. She's not having a hen night, which I imagine for her is like probably going to like a spa, or like having a nice spa day and a wee night out and a good meal. It was you're getting a hen night where we're gonna rent a room in some centre somewhere, and you're gonna have a stripper. It's just like, don't do that. It's not what the bride to be wants.
Mine was on May the 4th.
Oh.
So because we actually just celebrated our 9th anniversary, but my hen do was the May the 4th. So my pals, knowing me, came up with the idea of we all have to dress up as something Star Warsy.
Nice.
And or fandom related sort of thing. And I didn't know what was happening, but I knew I had to dress up as Steampunk Princess Leia.
Awesome.
So, and then we went I was blindfolded, put in a taxi, and then it was Glasgow Kiwi it came to, which is where the bowling and the cinema and a big casino is. and we basically went and watched a whole bunch of movies in the cinema. Like my friend, they asked my friend what's in the bag, and she went, "Oh, it's hen party stuff. Inflatable, penises. Now you don't want to open it in case there's kids around." It wasn't. It was a full picnic with like sandwiches and champagne and everything else. So we sat down. There was, and all of a sudden she whips open this big bag and she's handing out sandwiches and bits of cake and a bottle of champagne.
That's what you want.
But they booked out the room so that it was just us. I mean, I think we were watching Iron Man, and then we watched something else as well.
Amazing.
So we were all sitting there dressed up, completely daft, eating our fancy sandwiches, drinking champagne and everything else. And then we went across the street to do bowling for about 4 hours, and then we had a meal at the casino across the street from that. And they made sure that I was home by 10 p.m. because they knew that with my health problems, I could not stand up. Because this is when I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome. And they all knew that if they tried to do anything other than that, it would mean I would be too ill to get married in a week. So they fully respected that. And I loved them so much for what they did, because before that, everyone was talking about this, like, oh, the typical sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I had to come forward and say, look, guys, I've just been diagnosed with CFS. I don't think I can do this. And they rallied and they changed plans and they did something completely different, and it was lovely.
That's kind of what you want. That's nice.
Yeah. And then for my best friend who got married, she actually got married 5 years before me. I was her maid of honour, so I was in charge of running things. And we did high tea at the Edinburgh Castle, and then we went to the vodka bar that's just down from Royal Mile. I can't remember the name of it. And we had a burlesque lesson, so everyone learned how to do
nice
old-timey stripping. That was what we did. There was no stripper, we were the strippers. So that was what we did for her, because that was the kind of thing she was into. So it was, I think it's a shame when brides get shoehorned into things that they don't want to do.
Yeah.
Because their friends want to piss up, basically. It's not about them, it's about, it's supposed to be about celebrating your friend.
Yeah.
And having time with them.
Jessica's just went to a hen night and it's just like back from it, and it was actually like an activity, like it was like a weekend, but it was like an activity break. So like there was paddle boarding, and there was like a obstacle course on water and stuff the other day, but then there was like kind of spa stuff as well. It just seemed to be like a kind of good mix for like everyone to do like stuff like that. Because I think I'd prefer that rather than like doing a pub crawl. Like nothing bores me more if the thought of doing just a pub crawl.
It's saying you are offline, just so you're aware.
Interesting.
Can everyone see us and hear us?
Still got 99 viewers, so unless... Okay. That's fine.
That's fine then.
All right. Okay. In that case,
because Shish was saying that theirs said it was offline and frozen. Mine did it briefly too, but then it came back. So just making sure everyone else can hear us. That's fine.
Awesome. Everyone's good. Hey, Apocalypse. How's things? Okay. We're all still decent. Magic.
Still here.
Cool. So
I guess there's 93 people listening to us chat about nothing.
Hey, look, everyone. We've given people a crash course in weddings.
We have Scottish weddings specifically.
Yeah, I always kind of wonder about like American weddings though, like just in general, because I think they're made to. I feel like they're portrayed really weird in media, actually, and
they're
like
not
a lot.
Portrayed weird. That's just how they are.
Oh, okay. It's just normally they're portrayed like badly, as in it always just looks dead boring. Is it?
I'm always bored.
It's lack of dancing. It's lack of dancing.
It's a lack of dancing. And there's also the fact that a lot of the people don't really... a lot of people that are in the wedding don't really want to be there. And it's because they've been forced to pay for... It was a thing that we had some culture shock, because one of my bridesmaids was American. And she was, how much do you want for the dress? And I'm going, I pay for the dress because I'm paying for you to be in my wedding. The bride pays for hair and makeup in Scotland. They pay for the dresses. The groomsmen pay for like, they might not pay for the full suit, but they might pay for like the tie and something else as well for the groomsmen. And there's a lot of resentment, I feel, in the wedding parties, because some of the people end up paying thousands for dresses, and they pay thousands towards giving gifts and all these things. Whereas it's very commercial. It is very, very. The whole thing's very commercial, and the whole thing is and Scottish weddings are getting very much the same in that regard, because that whole, oh, you want to have the perfect day, whereas, you know, back when my parents were getting married, you'd have you'd get ceremony in the church, and then you'd have the reception at someone's house. You got up the close, and your granny would have made food for everybody, and that was kind of your wedding. That was what my parents were used to.
Now it's definitely getting more. Like, I think influencer kind of culture's got a lot to blame for that, because there's
absolutely.
There's like people now like live streaming their weddings and shit, and it's a wee bit.
Which we tried to do because we had so many people who couldn't come from here.
Yeah.
But we wouldn't have done it like publicly. It would have been like, here, come to our thing for family and friends.
A private room, like, you know, like a private link or whatever. But yeah, I think there's definitely that kind of culture beginning to kind of creep its way in. That being said, though, there are a lot of quite nice places in Scotland that are doing like way more intimate, like actual like packages. So it's like, instead of trying to arrange like a custom, you know, oh, you need to go out to a videographer, you need to go out to a photographer, you need to pull everything together. We know that like the Botanical Gardens in Edinburgh offer just straight up a package, and it'll be like, we've got a couple of venues in the Botanical Gardens. One of them can seat 20, one of them can seat 40, and we'll pull everything together. You won't need to think about photographer, you won't need to think about anything like that. We'll get it all prepared. It's this flat fee. And I imagine for a lot of people who are wanting maybe that kind of cozier wedding, it's like that. Because
that's nicer. And it also takes the stress off of finding everything. Because I remember I was extremely lucky with my wedding, because I had a lot of friends that just offered to do things, because, like, you know, it was really quite funny, because my photographer was the ex-photographer for Strathclyde Police.
Oh,
so he's
really good crime scene ones.
the joke was, right, we were outside taking pictures, Mothman and I together, and the joke was, he's going, right, I've got the chalk, get down on the ground, and we'll start doing the outline. I'm going, I'd be for it. He's going, you're wearing a white dress, I wouldn't get you to do that. But that was the joke with him, that he had chalk on him at all times to try and do outlines. But he was a family friend, and he did that for us, because if I tried to do it, if I had to group all these things together, it would have taken so much more effort. Yeah. And I can see why people just go, nah, fuck it, let's just elope, let's just run away.
And I'm not gonna lie, I think I would rather have a smaller wedding and a massive fuck off honeymoon than the other way about.
Yeah.
Like, even if that honeymoon's just like fucking going somewhere and escaping somewhere small for like a week or a bit.
Yeah. We didn't get that option.
yeah.
Our families were going, you have to have a wedding, because we've been long distance dating for a decade at that point. And the fact that we made it that far was kind of like we had to have a celebration.
Yeah.
It was.
You made it, success.
We did, and for us there was the added thing of UK visa. The UK government changed the law 6 weeks before our wedding, so we had to completely pivot our entire life 6 weeks before our wedding. We had to change our visas. We had to change. You know, John was. I keep saying his name, but Mothman was no longer allowed in the country and everything else without a specific visa, and he couldn't stay, and like, so we spent our first year of married life separated because the UK government changed. And the wedding was just our big celebration, because we wouldn't get a honeymoon. We wouldn't get to be together for when the first year we were married, because of all these things changed. So the wedding became our focus for that. If you don't have those things, I honestly do your wedding as small and intimate as you want, save money, and then just go have a holiday and enjoy yourselves. Yeah. It's more important. You know, the wedding is a celebration for other people. The marriage is the more important thing. Spend your money on the marriage, not the wedding. That's what I always say. So it's
Joy's top tips for for getting married.
It's a holly mop. It's a holly mop. What are you doing? What are you doing? Hello. She wants him to come in.
I'm waiting to see her jump up on the bed behind. Is it a bed or a seat?
It's my it's a Mothman went past. I'm ditched again.
Typical.
We've been married for almost 10 years now.
Yeah.
and we were together before that 10 years. So if anyone wants a relationship advice, I might be able to help. Ollie,
we're gonna turn the stream into
Ollie,
like a sort of agony aunt almost.
we could. Ollie, come on. You can see your tail going past in the background.
just see kind of zoomies in the background.
She's doing zoomies.
Amazing.
You are more than welcome to probe my mind.
Holly's teasing us all like that. Oh, almost.
I can put it up there.
Just realised now that you're on camera, I feel like we've like locked Mothman out of walking into an area of the
house.
house.
Him out of my room.
There we go.
She's got a chew stick. That's her.
Sorted. Right, I think we need another topic. We've covered weddings. If you ever have any other questions on weddings, you can ask chat. We can now. I'm trying to think what else has actually happened today. Oh yeah, Margaret Thatcher.
Oh yeah, Margaret Thatcher got egged from beyond the grave.
Yeah, so like I learned today that statue cost £300,000. Which is disgusting.
Yes, well, people are going to food banks and losing housing. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so basically there's a statue of Margaret Thatcher that I think was originally planned for Westminster Square, and I think they've moved it elsewhere now. And I think within like an hour of its unveiling, there's just this video of a guy with a carton of eggs. He's just you can see
fantastic.
You can literally see he's just bought these eggs. He's just like he fucking goes, I'll chuck one egg. Fuck it, I'll chuck 2 eggs. And he just chucks the carton. And you've got that like you hear a guy in the background being like, "Ho!" It's like nothing's gonna stop him.
I mean,
it's kind of gross, isn't it?
It always reminds me of the Frankie Boyle skit with on Mock the Week, where it's how much our state funeral was going to cost, and it was for $3 million you could hand everyone a shovel and we'd dig a hole deep enough to hand over to Satan himself. There is no reason for a statue to cost 300,000.
No. Considering that, like, you would think in the past couple of years and the amount of statues that have been targeted, like, the statue of Winston Churchill's been targeted. Weird creeps with nothing to do with their days defend these statues now.
Yes.
So, I'm not, like, I think, obviously in America it's probably slightly different, but, like, in the UK you do have, like, very much your pub dad trying to defend a statue to Churchill or a statue to whatever.
They were defending the statues of slave owners in George Square at one point. I'm going, why do you care?
Yeah.
You probably never even looked at them until you found out that people didn't they wanted to change the names in Glasgow because they're the names of slave owners.
I find that a lot of the statues for people to be like super quite like tacky almost now. Mm-hmm. I think there probably was a period of time where it's like, oh, look at all this history around you, but like you don't learn about a lot of things from a statue. Like
no,
you might learn their dates, but that's nothing.
Statues are for remembrance, not history.
Yeah.
That's the difference. Statues are not actually there for learning, they're there for remembrance. And there comes a point when you have to look at your history and say, yes, we cannot deny these things, but do we want to commemorate these things? Because that's also what statues are, they're commemorations of things. So why should we have statues of slave owners? Why should we have statues of Margaret Thatcher, who arguably is the cause of why the UK is suffering so much now, because she opened the gateway towards
mass privatisation of everything.
Mass privatisation and the
dragged
austerity
labour
measures. And, it's why would we commemorate those things?
Yeah, I
Teach
mean,
them in history, remember them through history, but don't commemorate them.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I'm glad to see Glasgow starting to do. So Glasgow Council have started consulting on a museum for slavery, which I think would be quite interesting. So, like, obviously that's super early days and it'll take ages to build and all the rest of it. But, like, being able to actually change the conversation of, like, merchant city, which is like totally built on the backs of the tobacco trade, which was
Mhm.
made super wealthy by the slave trade, because obviously it was it was a bit of a circle, really. Obviously, tea played a large role, tea, sugar, etc. But like a lot of
Mhm.
that, like the tobacco trade was funded by slaves, and the tobacco was grown by slaves, and then it came over to
Mhm.
Glasgow.
I mean, that's it. Glasgow's history of being the sugar capital of
Mm.
the empire in the Victorian era was built on slavery. I
Yeah,
mean, a lot
massively.
of the things that are associated with Scottish culture today are products of that time in history, and
Yeah.
we can't. There's a lot of people that are very quick to go, "Oh, well, Scotland's the underdog." Scotland profited hugely from that time period.
It's like people who like walk around Glasgow scratching their heads. Why is it called Jamaica Street? Oh, we just really like
Yeah,
Jamaica. We love Jamaica. In fact, I'm pretty sure one of the most common surnames in Jamaica is Campbell,
it is. Yeah, I
um,
remember reading that.
which is pretty grim, to be honest. But obviously, slaves tended to tend to forcefully adopt their owner's surname,
Hmm.
and that's unfortunately how that is. Um, but yeah, I think it's a good first step to actually have a museum dedicated to like slavery itself. Not almost having it as like a like tagged on to like
Yeah.
Kelvin Grove or anything like that. It's actually we are very deliberately making a museum on like Scotland's role in the empire here, um, and I think like obviously throughout the time on Tumblr, there's always been that question, on my blog where people have been asking me stuff like, "Oh, you always talk about how great Scotland is, but you never mention like the Empire." And I do like to think that I mention the Empire like a lot. It's just that, if I'm talking about like trees being planted in Scotland, I feel like
Yeah.
I don't
You
really
talk about it when it's relevant.
yeah. And this is actually a thing that I've kind of learned, and it happens quite a lot on both Twitter and Tumblr. You get this kind of like performative caveating,
Yes.
like, which is really quite is it's almost annoying. Like it's obviously an expectation, and it's good to be able to like mention stuff when it's relevant. But I feel like when someone comes into your asks, or when someone like reblogs something and um it's very nitpicky to the point to
Yeah.
the point. Oh well,
You
you
did not provide every single viewpoint. You did not give an entire history of Scotland while talking about Scotland's efforts to go green. Therefore, you are not giving a nuanced point of view.
yeah.
It's you. And then if you do it, it's well, there's too much information. I'm not going to read that. It's very
Yeah.
it's very performative. It's very well, you didn't mention this, so you must clearly not. You
Mm,
must not be giving a fair and balanced view. Well, why would I bring up Scottish history of slavery when I'm talking about
like
the current
modern
government's
social.
attempt to build wind farms?
Yeah.
It's not relevant to that conversation. When it's relevant, we talk about it.
Yeah. And I think
That's
one of the other things is like if I'm talking about like immigration in Scotland, and I think
hmm
it's worth saying that like Scott like whenever I try and stress the difference that Scotland has no control over immigration, because I have had
hmm
some asks almost blaming Scotland for having a system of immigration that is the same as the UK. Well, that's because it's ran by the UK. And trying to
yeah.
point that out sometimes really upsets people, as if they were trying to make a point that was hitting Scotland, but we don't really. I mean, it's why what was mentioned on stream maybe last week or the week before was the immigration raid van in Edinburgh. There was one in Nicholson Street.
hmm
So there was one last year, and the anniversary for that's just kind of happened. But like yeah, it was like a mass kind of protest, and people blocked the immigration vans, and they ended up leaving empty-handed. But again, that's not like Scottish like
It's not
immigration
Scottish
force,
policy.
Um, and yeah, one of the Twitter accounts is like that's devolved, and I think there's a lot of political parties in Scotland that are mainly the unionist ones that get a lot of let's just say there's a lot of advantage for them kind of deliberately blurring the lines between what's devolved and what isn't. I mean,
Yeah.
the worst person for that was Richard Leonard, the old Scottish Labour leader, who was like trying to say that he was going to make water public, like make water a public owned service in Scotland, and it already is.
Yeah.
That's what Scottish water is. But like, you know, he was obviously the way that the English utilities and stuff like that worked. He was able to pass that off, and unfortunately, he did still have people nodding along and being like, "Oh yeah, it'd be great to like, you know, nationalize water in Scotland." It is. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, we don't have water bills here. It's counted as part of like council tax.
Yeah.
Do you have water bills in the US?
We do in Minnesota. I don't know if anybody else does. They're not that expensive where I am, but I imagine in other states they would be.
Yeah.
I'm in the land of 10,000 lakes, so we have a lot of water here.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
imagine it'd be more expensive in like Nevada. But yeah, that was a weird thing when we moved here. It was the amount of things we were getting billed for, like things like our council tax doesn't pay for any of the renovations in our street. We have to pay a separate bill for that.
What?
So if they're resurfacing the road outside our house, we get a separate bill. And going, well, what is the purpose of the tax on my house if it doesn't pay for that?
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's expensive. Don't move here.
The thing is that kind of actually gives me a wee glimpse into why a lot of people do view libertarianism as like a thing.
Yeah.
Like, because I'd say, I think we had this conversation maybe a wee while ago on stream, but it was like how libertarianism is massively different in the US versus the
Yes.
UK. But then
Yes.
you get UK people with a very American view of libertarianism, and that tends to be the folk who set up libertarian parties here are folk with that American view of it. But yeah, I could totally see, I was like, yeah, why the fuck am I paying like a council tax if it's not renovating the road outside my house? What the fuck?
Yeah. Which is, as that Apocalypse said, it funds schools, which we are surrounded by a lot of schools in our area. So our money goes towards funding the schools. It doesn't matter that we don't have children and we'll never benefit from that. But we still have to pay for the road surfacing. We still have to pay for the drain maintenance because we have a drain on the side of our house, like a city drain. So we pay for that. It's not a street thing. We pay for it.
What the fuck? Hey, lovely scientist.
It's one of those things where it's kind of like it's not done well. It's not. They don't understand how taxes could be done.
See, the thing is, you'd actually benefit more of like bundling it up more rather than splitting it out. Because, like, I imagine, like, I mean, that's the way I see it. I mean, like, you know, I might never use the funds that go and fund the NHS cardiology outfit, but I'm still glad it's there. And you know, we don't need to get started on fucking health insurance because I know that that's an absolute bin fire. One of the things that's always fascinated me about American healthcare is how, like, a lot of the time hospitals will instinctively know who can pay and who can't. So what they'll do is they'll sell on the debt to like a debt collector, and that's a whole industry in itself. And like a lot, this is back to my other thing. There's so much of the world that's built on sand, right? Like the whole, like there's so much of it. It's just like there's whole industries built to service things that shouldn't really exist. But yeah, there's the debt collectors, and they buy the debt for like cents on the dollar, I think. Like literally, they'll pay pennies what hospital debt is like thousands of dollars worth, and then like they'll buy it cheaply, but then try and cash in on the full amount, and that's how they earn a profit. And I find that fucking mental, because if the hospital knows they can't cash in, they could just forgive it and look good.
Yep. Everyone's constantly telling me, "Oh, you should contact this, this, and this because then you'll get financial aid." Financial aid is also dependent on how much you earn. We're in this weird position where we are technically middle class, but because that means we have to pay for our private healthcare, it means we don't have the means to pay for anything that falls outside of our insurance.
Yeah.
It's we don't earn enough to get financial aid, so we have to pay for it ourselves. But that means we don't have any money to pay for anything after that. So it's this kind of
Great.
weird.
It's that grey area though. It's 100% like it's the grey area where a lot of people end up really struggling, and it's not to say
there's no middle class left in the US. They all think they're middle class, but if you're one crisis away from bankruptcy, you're not.
Yeah.
You're poor.
So I mean, this would
which we learned very quickly as soon as my health plummeted about 10 years ago. We've been living in that ever since. Like, oh yeah, there's no safety net at all.
Yeah, 100%.
There's nothing to help you from falling.
I'd be curious to ask chat actually. Is there any who in chat is one lack of paycheck away from struggling to afford things? Because I am. Like from a savings perspective, like I would say the vast majority of people I'd say actually the vast majority of people under 40 are probably in a similar position, and a lot of us are already struggling 100%.
Some of us are almost 40 and we're still struggling.
yeah. I mean, obviously
it's
it's definitely not an age thing, but I would say, like, I don't think there's ever been a point where I've had, like, you know, I've always heard stories of people having like 30 grand in savings or something like that, and that's a fantasy for me. I don't think I've ever been like that.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's a weird thing for me because it's obviously I got diagnosed and I was able to recover some health and I was able to start working again. And you'd think it would mean that we're actually doing better off, but it also means we qualify for less help. So it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a weird, horrible situation in this country where most people are one crisis away from complete abject poverty and or homelessness.
I mean, unfortunately, that's also the reason why you get quite a lot of disabled people in the UK who can't marry, because if you do marry, you immediately lose your benefits.
Same here, you lose your benefits if you're married.
Just it's mental, and I mean, people in the way that the way that the assessments for like social security and stuff here is just fucking nuts.
I hear that with the MCAS specialists, they are extremely expensive, and none of them take insurance. And it's with COVID, it's going to be a growing disorder, and it's going to be one of those. Oh right, yeah, nobody can treat this because nobody can afford it. But I almost broke my foot last week, and I got the bill, and I have a bill from the hospital or from the urgent care. I have the bill that they took from to do the x-ray, and then I have the bill from the actual facility where they send the x-ray. So I got 2 separate bills for one x-ray, and then I get the bill from the person reading the x-ray. And it just keeps mounting and mounting up, and I'm going, thank God I was able to get better health insurance 2 years ago, otherwise I would have to pay for all of this, whereas now I'm only having to pay a fraction of it. Yeah. But when you actually see things itemized, you're going, Jesus wept. And the thing is, it doesn't cost this much.
No.
It doesn't cost, like, most of my medication, if I was able to get it generic, it would cost about £4, but they're charging something ridiculous like $40 for it. I mean, one of my medications, if I was still on it, is $300 a month. And in the UK, it's about, if I actually look at the cost of what it is to cost the NHS for, because it's not privatised, it's about £50.
Yeah.
And you don't see that. You pay your standardised thing because it's paid for by the NHS. But moving here has been an experience into understanding why there's such a huge working class of poverty in this country, and also a huge health crisis.
Yeah.
Like, constantly.
I mean, lovely scientist makes a really good point that, you know, we're actually now moving to a point where there's not really going to be a thing as retirement. Like, I've accepted I'm going to work until I'm dead. Like, I will be working until I am dead in the ground. I don't expect any sort of retirement. To be honest, I think it's a kind of good thing in a way to like mentally accept that. But like, I think I'm the sort of person who would like to keep busy anyway, but I do think that, retirement and, I mean, you can see the pension age in the UK is now higher than some areas of life expectancy in Glasgow. Like, we're
Yeah.
getting to that level of shit fuckery is the only way to
Yeah, I
describe
mean,
it.
my parents are both in their 70s. They're not retired.
Yeah.
And they also care for, I mean, they hit the genetic lottery. They've got two disabled children, two, adult disabled children. So, and my brother's benefits are constantly getting slashed because, oh, well, prove you're disabled. He's been in a wheelchair since he was born. He's only got one hand. He's legally blind. But they keep trying to tell him, the job seeker keep trying to send him to a factory, and it's when he can't be in a factory.
Fucking hell.
Like, it's, and I know for a fact if I was to go home and if I ever tried to get benefits, they'd immediately go, no, you're fine, because I have an invisible disability, even though it's no longer invisible. But, they don't recognise a lot of things as disabilities. And I think if it's, my parents have kind of accepted, well, they'll never retire.
Yeah.
And that's sad because they've worked their whole... My dad has worked from the age of 14. He's now 72. He's never going to retire. When you do deserve time off, you do deserve time to enjoy your life. If 100%. You cannot enjoy your life, then we have failed as a society.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure I was reading a thing, and it's like in the US, there's like, obviously there's a lot of retirement sort of stuff in Florida. Lots of people think to retire to Florida, but one of the things that they've ran into recently is that the retirement villages have become mini cities themselves, like mini ecosystems. So what you've had a CEO who started a retirement village, and it was like deluxe condos or whatever it was for your retirees. And, there's all the facilities. Oh, we've got swimming pool, we've got bowling, we've got this, that, and the next thing. And then you've got another CEO who's come in, who's maybe replaced the old one, and obviously he's been given targets. Let's try and get X amount more people into the home. Let's try and do this. And gradually, they've actually built more and more houses, packed them closer together, less green space, all this sort of stuff. To the point where I think I've read somewhere that one of the biggest homes has over 100,000 people in it. And that home now has people who can no longer afford to live in the retirement village working in the retirement village so they get to continue living there. And it's like, what dystopian fucking nightmare are we living in? It's
basically
insane.
The town factories.
Yeah.
They've redone the town factories with the elderly. It's horrible. But they're also trying to bring in town factories here as well, and they're like, oh yeah, Amazon's building a town. And it's like,
yeah.
We call that endangerment. That's not
I mean,
not a good thing.
It's heading that way, especially the moment someone successfully lobbies to have, like, you just know there's going to be, and unfortunately, obviously crypto's hit the absolute shitter in the past couple of weeks, but you're going to have a company that starts their own digital currency, and it will be for use for services within their towns. And, we're 100% going to go that fucking route. We're going to have exactly like the coal mining villages. It's 100% heading that way. We're going to have, go and spend your Amazon tokens in the Amazon canteen. Go and get your laundry done at the Amazon laundry, and then get back to the factory. You've got 30 minutes to eat and get all your household chores done, and then you'll be fucking back to the factory floor. And yeah, with the debt that combines everything else, it's very, very bleak. Very bleak stream. We were talking about weddings, and now we've got the dystopian ultra-capitalist future that we're all going to die.
I mean, that's what weddings are part of, though. That's what the industry feeds into, is that idea that you have to have money to be happy. Yeah. And to some degree you do. You have to have stability, but you don't have to have the way that the industry is now for a lot of things.
Yeah. I think one of the other things it's a kind of two-pronged approach, because on one hand you hear about, like, so many office jobs for these, like, massive corporations are now getting the 4-day work week. Is it a 4-day work week for the folk who work the logistics? is it fuck? Your deliveries. I mean, and this is one of the things that I really despised about the kind of the early working from home attitude. Because you did have these people who are like, oh, working from home forever. We're never gonna do anything, and this is finally gonna be the thing that takes power away from corporations. You're still actually going to rely to all on the delivery people who are out fucking driving all the time. Thanks for the follow, Clunt Jacandis. I'm going to pronounce that. I'm glad I saw the N there. Let me know if I've actually pronounced your name properly. It helps. Yeah, I mean, it would be good to have a 4-day work week, but unfortunately, again, you've kind of reached the problem where, I mean, I'm pretty sure my old work before things didn't go to plan would have loved to have done a 4-day work week, but you can't innovate on a 4-day work week. You can't like build the next thing on a 4-day work week. And what we're gonna have is like, innovation will take a massive dip, and it will only be for massive corporations. So you're never going to have new challenger companies because corporations will own all of the funds, but also the ability to do all of the research and development. People will be working flat out to actually afford daily living. I mean, we've not even touched on the gas and electric prices in the UK.
That's a nightmare. They're
going up massively. I mean, I saw someone who got an increase per month of like an additional £500 on their gas bill. And, if for anyone on this call, like, I mean, a lot of people don't have that £500 to spare on gas. It's just not possible.
My mother's quarterly bill is now what I pay in a year.
Yeah. It's disgusting.
For comparison.
I mean, Sky there, mine went from 45 to 120 a month. Is that gas and electric, or is it one? Either way, it's still a disgusting increase. But yeah, that's where we're heading, and it's not good. I mean, to be honest though, see if it's the one thing that annoys me that like the UK isn't as much like France. Because if this was happening in France, there would be a lot more riots happening. Whereas
there'd be things on fire.
Yeah. Whereas in the UK, it tends to be half the country thinks that anyone who can't afford it is a fucking liability and deserves it. That's the sad thing. No one needs a 6,000 square foot house with cathedral ceilings and white carpets for 4 people. Yeah, I do think one of the things when me and Jessica got this place was we loved how very good timing of the RIP sound. But like when we got this place, we specifically liked it because it was so colourful. Like, every single room was a different colour, and that's what attracted us to the place to go for a viewing in the first place. There's so many places now where it's like, everything's white, everything's grey.
Everything's white.
Maintain your grey carpet and your silver blanket that drapes over the couch, and your grey couch, and it's just kind of soulless. And I get the feeling that we're eventually going to funnel our ways. It's like, I hope you enjoy your white pod that you'll be sleeping in. We'll all be on like the morgue drawers. That'll be our beds. Like that's where we're working towards. And I know that like, don't get me wrong, absolutely love Japan, but I think Japan did that as a gimmick in a hotel where you can sleep in a pod in a hotel, and it's your room, and you get put in a shelf, and you get pushed into to the wall, and I get the feeling that someone in Amazon's probably seen that and went, that'll be really good in our town.
Yeah, Blind Panda, where baby clothes are beige now. Yeah, my niece is 1, and I'm trying to find stuff for her, like birthday and everything else. Everything's beige.
Oh,
beige is not gender neutral. You can have all colours are gender neutral. Why is everything beige?
Beige is that's the most boring fucking colour going.
I know.
Um,
I'm a big fan of colour, as you can probably see from my my setup and my. If I tilt my camera, you can see my pink ceiling.
oh, nice.
Like working inside of an ice cream. But the we had to do that because it was our entire house was renter beige. Everything was renter beige, and it was bad for my mental health. Like if it's good for your mental health, great. But why should everyone be expected to conform to that? Why is it? Oh, if you want the maximum amount of profit for your house, everything should be beige.
Yeah,
Surely
I mean,
the maximum amount of profit should be the condition your house is in, because cheap paint is cheap. Everyone can
so
paint what they want.
so according to people that sell houses, the reason why you do the whole beige thing is so people can project what they want onto everything, because it's not tampered with. But it's like fucking hell. Like honestly, if you can't walk into a room and maybe reimagine it a different color, like you need to have it you need to have it beige, everything fucking beige. I honestly don't think we would have went for this place if it was like presented to us as beige, or like as silver, because like one of my old friends has a place, and like it's fine, but it's very very modern, and a lot of modern Scottish houses are completely different from older Scottish houses.
Yes.
Particularly from a ceiling height perspective. Like it's not a like it might sound quite grandiose in maybe for some Americans who are on the call, but like tall ceilings are completely normal in Scotland. And it tends to make the house a lot harder to heat. But like, you know, we're used to a certain ceiling height, whereas me and Jessica, when we were looking for a place, we went into like a new build, and like it was the first one where I was really really aware that I can just like stroke the ceiling whenever I wanted. It's like
I am 5'1". I can touch the ceiling in our house if I strain.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
Why are tall ceilings grand? I don't know. I think there's ceilings that are too tall, but like generally the living room where I grew up was like, you know, maybe when I was about, you know, when I was kind of going through puberty, it was probably like 2.5 of me. How tall is Mothman? Good question. Well, Mothman can fly, so it's kind of redundant, but
yeah. He's not that tall, to be honest. He's not. He's tall for me, but again, I am 5'1", so that's. I think he's 5'7", 5'8". I don't remember. But yeah, I have to look up. So that's my perspective. I have to look up.
What?
Ollie.
Sky, you're forgetting though that both of us project like tall energy, so it's all good. Again,
sorry, my dog is just gagging on her chew toy. I'll be 2 seconds.
Just
it's always take that away from you.
Always worth checking.
You okay? Where are you going?
Choking for attention. There's a type of apartment complex that are called lofts, and a lot of them are altered warehouses with rooms with ceilings over 20 foot tall. Fucking hell. That would be such a bastard to heat. Sky, I don't think we're the same height. I think you're a bit taller. But what that height is up to user preference. Yeah, exactly. A sleigh with heels on. Your grandma's 5'2", your grandpa was 6'4", always hit his head on the door jams. Oh, man. I suppose this is actually a good time. I can now say, if you're watching this and you haven't smashed that follow button and gotten access to a whole bunch of like free emotes, you should totally do that. It'll also give you notifications for when we're next live. So if you would like to follow me, I would really appreciate it. Also, the title of the stream is very is very temporary. I had no idea what to call this, and yeah, we just kind of like we decided to wing it. But if anyone has a better idea on what the hell this should be called, then you should. Oh yes, finally we managed to get rid of the wee sound. Thanks very much for the sub, Ms. Madam. Appreciate it. And catch these tears, punk. Sorry, it took me way too long to read that. Oh, we're near a hype train. All aboard. Hey, Seiko Kato, thanks very much for the sub as well. We're on our.
Sorry about that.
That's no worries. We're on our way to a hype train.
Ooh.
And Seiko Kato's just went mental. Holy shit. Hey, it's Kristen, Soren G, Hockacux, Sholel, and Sky. I hope you all enjoy your emotes. You now get access to premium emotes. I am planning on getting a couple more emotes soon. That is something that we're working on. Really appreciate it, Seiko Kato. See, we could call it the iCast, but we need to have a name for if it's the both of us.
Yes.
Bearing in mind, this could if we if this could end up on Spotify, Joy. We could go big.
Go big. Going on Spotify is going big. We could.
Oh, the AyeSphere isn't too bad. It would get the bibliosphere bit over.
It would. AyeSphere.
The
Yeah.
AyeSphere. And we could discuss global events.
We could.
Thanks for the cheers, Joy. I can thank you live on stream. Thank you for the cheers, Ms. Madam. And
I saw the hype train was just that close. Couldn't help it.
And thanks, Blind Panda Bear and the anonymous cheater. I didn't know you could do these anonymous. See you later, puny humans. Glad to have you in the stream. The sphere of influence. No, we can't. No, that's too long. The AyeSphere is not too bad.
Yeah, AyeSphere. I don't mind that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I knew if we put it out there, someone would come up with a good name for us. Because we're both sitting there, we're sitting before the stream going, what would we even call this? And we're both just like,
To be honest,
when you're doing your own thing.
yeah, I also think it's better when you're given a name. Like,
Yes.
Hey, Lexicon Fish, thanks very much for the follow. And Tundra K. Bean for the cheers. And Ms. Madam again for the cheers. Holy shit. We've got a level...
We're very, very close to the next level 3 of Hype Train.
Yeah,
so
level
super...
3 hype train. Damn, that's powerful. You have to go because the stream's too interesting. You need to actually do your finals. That's not bad. I mean, that's actually a really good endorsement.
Yeah.
Glad.
I'll take that.
Yeah. So interesting that we took someone away from their vital study time. You are indeed, Sky. We'll stamp that. So yeah, I mean, we'll obviously have to think of like just topics every week.
I feel like we've been doing okay with just rambling and going from bit to bit, but yeah, I think it's
weddings.
Definitely have to think of things. Weddings
and the gateway to dystopian capitalism.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else has been going on. Obviously, the complete collapse of crypto has been funny.
That's been hilarious. I've been living my best life watching that.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? Oh, thanks very much for the cheers, Shiniest Crow. Yeah, it's been quite good seeing the kind of downfall of crypto. And, like, of course, NFTs have just, like, dropped off the fucking planet as well, which is great. There is... I take particular, like, schadenfreude out of, like, the NFT space.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you saw one of the guys that invested in a cryptocurrency called Luna.
The Luna one?
And it was like, my wife's a fucking idiot who doesn't know anything about investing, and then he just lost everything. Whoa! Oh, Joy, you can't do that to our... Oh, that's cheating. Oh, fucking hell.
You know why? Because I just got 5 sales on Gumroad, so I can.
In that case, we we need to launder the money somehow. So
Yeah.
the more people who buy Joy's book, the better. So you need to all go on Gumroad, and you need to buy Joy more stuff.
I could literally see the money came from this Twitch, so that's that's why I did it. I put the money back in. So thank you,
No.
everyone.
You need to go and get Hunger Pangs, and you've got the ability to get Hunger Pangs signed. Oh, I didn't know that.
You can on my Patreon. You can. It's also on my Gumroad, I think, as well. But I'm revamping the Patreon, so no one touch that just now. That's about to get changed for a bunch of stuff because the second book might be getting announced soon. You didn't hear that here.
Oh,
But
see, this is good actually, because then we can be like, oh, now you're getting like deluxe Hunger Pangs like drops live on stream, getting sneak previews for the Hunger Pangs crowd.
yeah, actually, I have a really good segue from the capitalism talk can you play sounds?
Yeah.
If I sent you an audio file, could you play a sound?
Yeah, should be able to work.
Right, give me 2 seconds and I will find what I'm looking for because it's the end credits. I don't mind doing a wee sneak peek here and then I'll do it on Tumblr at a later date.
Nice.
But
I
this
feel
is
like
the ending credits for Hunger Pangs, the audiobook which just finished.
awesome.
So that's processing. Let me see if this is the right file.
I feel like I feel like that's worth a VV blog on Tumblr just to kind of let anyone know.
That we're yeah.
I don't want to make anyone on Tumblr jealous. So
Just making sure it's the right file because yes, that's it. The audiobook file for anyone who's interested is 14 hours long.
yes. Leaked images appeared to show a new Silent Hill set in Britain. What? Silent Hill set in Britain? That sounds horrifying.
You should have that file if I sent it properly. There it goes. It's not. There's no date in it. It's just the funny intro for the end credits that I love. Catherine's intonation at the end of it. It's fantastic.
Cool. So just to be absolutely clear here, when I play this sound, I don't run the risk of any sort of.
I will not sue you.
No. I mean, I'm not gonna. It's just that file, right? It's not like
it's just the one file. It's
okay.
just the one file. It's about 15 seconds long, and there's nothing in it that shouldn't be there.
Okay, cool. That's fine. Right, I'll.
Hunger Pangs.
Oh! You should all be able to hear that actually. Let me turn up the volume to 125%. It's 36 seconds.
Oh, there.
So I will. You know what? We'll get it going in. We'll maybe put like a minute. We'll get it going in a minute.
Do you know what? If people want the retail sample, you can play the retail sample as well. If you want to do that, because I can give that away without
yeah, feel free.
Audible cracking down on me, so I'll send you the retail sample as well.
Sounds good.
There we go. That's the wrong thing.
You've sent me the full audiobook. Success. This was all a plan. I knew I'd get hold of it somehow.
Is that it? Yes, that's it. That's the thing.
Right, everyone needs to go and reblog that now on Tumblr. Just the end credits, of course.
It's just the end credits, and then I've given you the retail sample as well if you want. If you want to play that, you don't have to. But it leads into our discussion about capitalism quite funnily, and it was based on me not being able to think of anything better to write.
That works. I'll play the end credits first. I've not seen the other one come in just yet, but we'll go with the end credits. So radio silence from me from now on. I promise not to talk over them.
Hunger Pangs, True Love Bites by Joy Demora. Narrated by Catherine Bilson. Copyright 2020. Audiobook production copyright 2022. Vlad, Nathan and Ursula will return in Book 2 of the series, Hunger Pangs, Pride and Folly, where they find themselves faced with an even greater threat to the world. Capitalism. To find more of Joy's work, visit joydemora.com.
Oh, that enunciation is like capitalism.
It's the scathing hatred in that intonation is perfect.
Oh, that's class. Brilliant. Oh, that's fantastic. So
Yeah, there's no date for it just yet because there's some stuff happening on our end. But yeah, that finished this week, and it was, oh, what do you want for the outro credits? Do you want to have a little teaser for what's happening in the next book? And I'm sitting there going, well, the next book is basically just them trying to, it's them realizing how corrupt capitalism is. Oh, that could be the tagline. Like a lot of other people are like, oh, there's a lot of other suggestions that I'd had were like this epic thing and a loop to that, and I'm like, no, the real villain is capitalism. Like the literal devil could come back and he would look at that and go, shit, you're doing it yourselves and you don't need me. Like that's
nah, that's brilliant.
holy shit with 180 viewers.
I feel like I'm gonna have to play it again for anyone who missed it.
You could play it again.
Well, we'll play it again just for anyone who's just joined. But you've got to be ready with all of your applauses, okay? I do love the intonation on that though. That's really good. And is that also a title reveal?
Yes.
It's also a title reveal. Nice.
The title reveal. So.
Just the end credits. Just the end credits to my best-selling novel. Also the second name of the book.
Thank you for the compliment on my hair. It is growing out at the moment, so it's very shaggy.
I've got like a beginner's version of Joy's hair. We're both going for the flick.
We are. This is how my hair is growing in after the fail-outs. It just does its own thing now. I've given up.
Right, so for everyone who's just joined, I will play the sneak preview end credits sequence again.
With the title reveal.
And with the title reveal.
Hunger Pangs, True Love Bites by Joy Demora. Narrated by Catherine Bilson. Copyright 2020. Audiobook production copyright 2022. Vlad, Nathan and Ursula will return in Book 2 of the series, Hunger Pangs, Pride and Folly, where they find themselves faced with an even greater threat to the world. Capitalism. To find more of Joy's work, visit joydemora.com.
Capitalism.
Just, yeah.
Amazing.
I told my friend Catherine Bilson, she's wonderful. If anyone needs audio work, absolutely go with Catherine. But I told her what I wanted and she just started laughing. she's like, oh, really, really leaning into that whole guillotine mood that you've got going on. The second book of the series, Hunger Pangs, Gays and Idiots, that's the whole series pretty much. The closer they are together, the fewer brain cells they have.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the audiobook coming out. It's just it's something that, like, obviously people just think, oh well, all you need to do is read the book. Like, just read the book out loud and hit record, and the audiobook's really easy to put together. No, there's
not really
bit more that goes into that. And you've now sent me the sample file as well.
The retail sample, yes.
The retail sample. Is that something that we want to hear?
If people want to hear it, we can play it.
Well, first of all, do I have your permission? And second of all, do people want to hear it? It is 4 minutes and 52 seconds long.
You do indeed have my permission. If
Excellent.
People want to listen to it.
And is there any chance you can sign this bit of paper just to say that that's okay?
If you send me a document, I will sign it. Here, I'll sign a wee bit of...
Yeah, just a sticky note or something like that.
I'll write you a wee permission slip, right?
You've got to address it to I for Scotland. By the way, folks, if you're just joining, big welcome to the stream. Obviously, you've joined from the recent posts on Tumblr. So yeah, we're seeing a wee bit of the audiobook for Hunger Pangs. If you want to give the stream a follow, you're more than welcome to. You also get access to some free emotes, and you can hang out a bit more. Feel free to say hi in chat. I'm getting Joy's first autograph. Oh, Joy's written many fuck.
I've done digital ones. I've not done any real ones yet. There's your permission.
Why, thank you very much, Joy. I apparently now have to do the ASMR once again. However, if you'd like me to speak more Scottish, I can happily do that. It's rather easy. All you have to do is overpronounce every single word as we go into this relaxing, deep-seated mode prepared for Hunger Pangs, True Love Bites sample file. I hope you all enjoy this wonderful and fantastic bit of media that will soon be coming soon, once Audible gets its shit together. No, we're not doing the Sean Connery voice. No, that's banned.
That's cursed.
The Sean Connery ASMR voice. The last time you got me to say pushy.
Traumatized half the chat when you did that. It was fantastic though.
Yeah, it's I need to get better at it, but the more people redeem it, it does have a cooldown timer though, so I don't just get people who've like saved up all of their points being like, I want a full stream of ASMR. But yeah, I think on my TikTok at the moment there's a video it's not super popular, but it was people were egging me on to do the Sean Connery voice, and I was playing God of War at the time, and turns out "Let me see your pushy" is a really just if anyone wants to die inside, I can do the Sean Connery voice. You just need to make all S's shiz, and you're pretty much good.
The first time you did it, I screamed. I was laughing so hard I had to stop what I was doing because I was not expecting it. It was one of those streams where I put the stream on in the background and I'm just kind of listening, and I'm doing my own. I'm working away, and all I hear is "Let me see your pushy" in the background of my head. I was like, "What the hell?"
God, I'm just trying to write "Not in Hell." Fuck's sake!
Just try to be productive over here, and I'm just listening to Connery impersonations in the background.
Oh God, Connery, that's a new one. Soren G, I just said it. I need to do it again. I feel like we're just punishing people now. Fuck's sake. That was a pretty good voice. Yeah, it's funnily enough. It's one of those things that once you get the shiz down, you're good.
Sure.
But okay, once more for you, Soren G, and then everyone will be sufficiently weirded out, and we can do the sample file. Let me shear pushy. That's Joy. Your face is a marvel to watch whenever I say that.
Where's the bonk? Where's the bonk sound?
Yeah. Just realised that. Yeah. So I've now got sounds that you can redeem as well.
Thank you, Sky.
So yeah, plenty of bonks. But what we can do now is we can maybe have a wee listen to the sample file. And it is 4 minutes, so like we'll just be intently listening for the next 5 minutes. But here you go. Y'all ready for this? You've got to follow if you like it, okay? That's actually one of the deals.
That was the deal on Tumblr.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go.
Nathan was about to open his mouth to reply when the door behind them swung open with a dramatic whoosh. Walking backward into the room was a young-looking man who was talking animatedly to whoever was on the other side. "Yes, Mrs. Collins, of course, I remember. No, I assure you I had not forgotten about our meeting. I assure you the peonies are my top priority. Swithin? Swithin!" The man's eyes landed on the manservant, barely visible through the open doors. "Ah, there you are. Please show Mrs. Collins to the Glaucus drawing room. Thank you. I will be there shortly." The doors slammed shut, and he leaned against them for a moment as though he'd like to barricade himself inside. Good gods alive, undead, and those merely sleeping. Seeming to realize he wasn't alone, his shoulders straightened and he whirled about. The vampire, for there was no mistaking him for anything else, was tall, dark-haired, and dashingly handsome. Genetics had seen fit to gift him with exceptionally good cheekbones and the complexion of cut marble. He was dressed formally, but was sans jacket, his shirt sleeves rolled up to reveal pale, slender arms. The cut of his waistcoat was daringly modern, and it gave him a slightly rakish appeal, an effect no means lessened when he smiled, the wry curl of his mouth revealing a gleaming hint of fang. It was alarmingly attractive. The vampire seemed to flicker for a moment, then glided toward them, arms spread wide in greeting. "Gentlemen, so sorry to keep you waiting. Fiddledee, old boy, how are you? How's your leg?" "Much better, thank you, sir. Only aches when it rains." "Ah, so only on days ending in Y then. Jolly good." He gave Fiddledee a friendly clap on the shoulder before turning the full focus of his glittering attention on Nathan, who was suddenly desperately aware of his own heartbeat. "And this must be our new captain. Welcome to our little island, Captain Northland. I'm the Viscount, but everyone here calls me Vlad." "Vlad," Nathan echoed, still a little dazed. He grasped the other man's hand when it was offered. A little tingle of something flowed through Nathan's hand when they touched. The vampire's handshake was firm and surprisingly calloused for someone who looked like they spent their time following the latest fashion trends and gambling away the family fortune at the card tables. They stood there for a second, each eyeing the other, before Nathan reluctantly dropped the Viscount's hand. Seemingly unbothered, the vampire gave him a tight-lipped smile, his fangs carefully hidden. "Yes, a family name, I'm afraid, but I've learned to be dead with it. Please, take a seat. You made good time in getting here. I hope your journey wasn't too terrible. The weather can be a tad unpredictable." "No, not at all," Nathan lied, ignoring the damp chill that still clung to his shoulders from his brief trek through the storm. His rain-cloak had been about as effective against the elements as a chocolate tea kettle. "Good. I am so very delighted to hear that." To Nathan's surprise, the vampire perched on the edge of his desk rather than sitting behind it. He was close enough that Nathan could smell his cologne, a subtle, warm scent with hints of spice and myrrh. It reminded him of warmer climes. "I trust they've made you welcome at the guardhouse already." Nathan felt Fiddledee stiffen nervously behind him. "Like a house on fire," Nathan offered. The wry glint of a smile flitted across the Viscount's face before the vampire carefully hid it away again. The Viscount's dark eyes flickered rapidly over him. "My, what an ambiguously phrased thing to say," the vampire drawled. Nathan hoped the sudden flush of warmth he felt rising in his chest wasn't visible on his face. It has to be a glamour, he decided. Vampires were notorious for such vanities, and there was just no way someone could be that devastatingly handsome. It just wouldn't be fair.
Oh. I think you've just secured like 1 million audiobook sales. So here's the thing: if you're wanting to read it and read along to the audiobook, you should check out Joy Demora at Gumroad.
Yeah, I also have my PayHip and a bunch of other places as well. But if you go to joydemora.com, you'll find all the buy links basically. So yeah, I'm not very good at selling my own stuff. Everyone's like, "Oh yeah, you should do more." And I'm like, "I talked about it like 2 months ago. It's fine."
That's why you've got me. In that case, I'll take over. You should all buy Joy's book, Hunger Pangs. Now, so here's the thing, and I'm gonna tell you about it from my perspective of reading Hunger Pangs, because it was my reintroduction to reading. because I loved reading when I was young. I devoured books when I was young. I absolutely loved it. It's the sort of thing that I would take several books with me on holiday and I would fucking like complete them all by like day 3. And then like university and just general life really killed my joy for reading, and I kind of lost it, and I was really gutted with it because it is something that I did like, and I feel like I found myself experiencing more stories through games, and that was really like how I got my stories. But the problem is that obviously reading's also a skill, or listening to books is also a skill, and it's something that I was like really kind of clamoring to get back to. So I picked up Hunger Pangs, and it has really just re-sparked my whole love of reading again. Like Joy's kind of hiding at the moment. I can see you shrinking further and further away from the camera. But honestly, it really re-sparked like my love of reading. It's so well written. There's a great rhythm to like everything. I actually also found it really and nicely accessible. Obviously it's the first kind of book that I've encountered where you've got those two versions for folk who like the erotic side of things and those who like a wee bit of like fade to black. But it's also the first time I'd encountered that. I've never encountered an author that goes out of their way to create two versions of a book that caters to the audience and still allows it to be accessible. And another thing that I really fucking appreciated, because I'm notorious for it, is when there was time jumps in the book, or whether there was time jumps from chapter to chapter, you write the time. So you're constantly aware of the amount of time that's actually moved on, especially when it comes to like if there's, you know, something that's a direct follow-on from chapter to chapter, or whether there is a bit of gap, you show that, and it's very good. So
thank you.
Go and buy it, fuckers.
It was written pure. There is not a part of the book that wasn't written with some form of accessibility in mind, because even right into the font choice and the spacing choices and the formatting, it was chosen to be as accessible as possible, because a lot of adult books are not accessible. You tend to, once you stop reading young adult and teen books, the formatting actually changes for a lot of things, and it becomes actually inaccessible, because a lot of people actually struggle to read justified text. It's why when you're online, websites and a lot of things are left justified. If it's center justified, you get weird gaps and people often lose their place. And that's an issue with anyone that's got visual processing issues or something like ADHD, where your focus is very much contingent on not losing your stream of thought. And it was even just like chapter lengths. My editors were very conscious of like, well, ideally you'd want a chapter you could read in about 20 minutes, because if they're reading it on breaks, you want something someone can read. But then the 20-minute also helps with, if someone has inattentive issues, they can read a 20-minute chapter and that's them. They're not having to slog their way through things. But it also means if you've got hyperfocus, you can get through multiple chapters very quickly if you want to. But,
I'm learning a lot about myself and how I read right now. Okay.
That too, because when I was writing it, I realized I found out I had ADHD whilst I was writing it, and my editors and I actually clashed heads at one point, because they were trying to make it sound more traditionally published and the way they want, well, that you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't have as many tangents, you shouldn't do that, because that's not how these things are done. And I'm going, well, I can't read any of those books, so I don't want to do that. I want to do something that is accessible to my people, the people that think like me. And a lot of the time, books for adults are not aimed at people with neurodivergencies. Some people can read them just fine, but other people struggle immensely. And the biggest compliment I've had from people is people saying, this is the first book I've read since I was a teenager. And sometimes they're 30 and 40, and they're saying that this is the first book I read since I was a teenager, and I could actually read it. And there was a lot of effort went into the sentence structure, formatting. Again, every single part of it was in some way produced with accessibility in mind. And then the other part of it was to do the Fluff and Fangs version, so that you could have the fade to black for people who are either sex repulsed or people who just don't like reading about sex. I mean, that's fine. You don't have to enjoy reading about sex. That was done because Hunger Pangs was funded by fandom. It was funded by people who, basically, when my health completely fell apart, I had nothing. We could barely afford to keep our lights on because everything was going towards medical bills. And Tumblr took one look at that and said, "No, we're keeping you alive." It is no secret that for 5 years Tumblr paid for a lot of our stuff that kept me alive. You paid for a lot of my medications, and when people started telling me, "Oh, I'll just skip the sex scenes," I thought, well, that's not really fair because you're funding this. You're doing so much for me. The least I can do is make sure that you get the same amount of content. So I went back and I did the 2 different versions with subtle differences. And I didn't think it would be popular. And it's not as popular as the Flirting with Fangs edition, but it's popular enough that if I'd chosen just to sell that, it would have done fine. It would have done fairly well. And people had been worried about me not doing it for next few books because it obviously, you can kind of see based on the reviews that it didn't do as well as the other one. Like, there wasn't as much interaction. I will always do the 2 versions. I will always do it because it means so much to people to be included. And I'll find a way to make it work. I'll find a way to fund it. So don't worry about them ever going away. I will always do it, and I will always try and keep things accessible in terms of actual, the ADHD that I talk about and other disabilities. I will always try to do that. And it's a labor of love, and I do it because I do love yous. That's it. So, but thank you so much for everyone that's been super kind, and thank you, for talking it up. I was cringing. I'm not good about talking about it myself, but it is a labor of love. I am extremely proud of it, and I hope everyone enjoys it, and I hope everyone's going to enjoy the audiobook for those that are interested in audio. So,
well,
yeah, that's all I have to say.
Well, the good thing is that I'm. If I can keep you cringing, I'm doing a good job. Second of all, and maybe something that you've inadvertently didn't mean to mention there, if you have the Hunger Pangs Flirting with Fangs edition, as in the full edition, and you're wanting to support Joy but maybe not buy another whole copy of the Flirting with Fangs edition, you could get the Fluff and Fangs edition. And you could have a look at how it differs. So you can have 2 different copies. So that is also an option, and you are getting 2 different things technically. You get the swaps out. So you also got a collection of short stories there, but I have not had a chance to delve into.
More short stories coming out this year as well.
Awesome.
But yeah, the comment is, "Oh, it reads like the finest fanfic." It was written with fandom in mind. Like, I had people. One of the reviews I had from a professional reviewer was, "It's very clearly fan fiction." I'm going, okay, which fandom is it from? What's it based on? Or have I just written something for fandom? Because that's what it is. I wrote it for fandom. I wrote it as a thank you to fandom. I also wrote it expecting it would be published posthumously. Joke's on me, I'm alive to edit the fucker. That's just...
Yeah, now you have to deal with a fucking audiobook and everything. I
have to do all of it. I have to do all the work now. That's...
God, you wouldn't have had to deal with Audible.
I know. Yeah. I'm reading the comments, guys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. But the biggest thing was everyone saying it got me reading again, and the reason was because I went back and I made it accessible, and I wrote a book that I would want, because neurodivergent brains do actually think of sentence structures in different ways than neurotypical people. We tend to use more filler words because our brains actually think in a different rhythm, and we tend to use extra words. Sometimes because we're trying to convey what we're saying, but also because it sounds and the weight of the sentence feels better. And if you say that to a neurotypical person, they're going to go, "What do you mean the weight of the sentence? That doesn't make any sense." It makes perfect sense to me and a lot of other people that are either autistic or ADHD. It just, the way we think is slightly different. And Fangs is written to be different. It is written to be, it's the closest you'll get to the inside of my head. That's the best way I can put it. I was forced to give Lad a lot of the tangents because he is my walking encyclopedia. He's basically my excuse to info dump. My editors were very calmly like, "You can have tangents, but you need to give it to one character. We'll give it to Vlad because he is the little neurodivergent vampire, so he can be the walking encyclopedia. That's fine. But the rest of it, we're going to have to ask you to punch it up slightly." And I was like, "That's fine, as long as I can do it somewhere." Because that's part of the things that I love. I love when you can see an author is passionate about something, or they think something's funny, or you get to see glimpses of, I don't know, we don't get to see enough of the author's person, I feel, sometimes. Like, a lot of writing styles have become very samey. And I hate that because I can't differentiate who's who. Whereas a lot of the things that I read, I like it when there's a very distinct author voice. Whereas publishing doesn't really want that. It wants kind of the blockbustery style. So I think indie publishing has a good advantage with that because you get to be more yourself, which is another reason for staying indie, in my opinion. Because I don't want to write like someone else. I want to write like me. And I think it's working.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Sorry, can I just say, holy shit, Mothman, thanks very much. Eidolon Fox, Adam Culler, Credonian, Shadowfoot 1809, Finlay, Mastergun 117, Taciturn 1. Sorry, all of these are now truncated. Cinnamon and Pancakes, Iron Brew, and Dusk Sry. I hope you all enjoy your emotes. And say a big thank you to Mothman for gifting those subs.
I didn't know he was going to do that. He's somewhere. Hiding somewhere.
Hiding around the corner. Hey, Jess with the applause. But yeah, no, I'm excited to get the audiobook. I'm going to be getting that when it comes out, and I won't be getting it on Audible. I'll get it elsewhere.
Yes, the Tomfoolery, yes, both versions of the audiobook are available. I did pay for both versions to be made. So yes, there will always be both. Amazon may not always allow them because it causes conflict with certain sales things, but they will always be available even if it's just on my website. So the best place to keep an eye out is joydemore.com, which will hopefully be getting a makeover at some point because that website is falling apart under the weight of people trying to get on it, funnily enough.
Yeah, it's funny how that works. But we'll keep pushing folk towards it. So we'll push it until your website breaks and you upgrade it. No, that's cool. Obviously we normally wrap up around 10, but I'm good and I don't have work tomorrow. So.
And you're streaming, that's your work.
Yeah.
This is your work now. Welcome to being an influencer. It's terrible.
Yeah, so one of the things I've been trying to do this week is get I'm rubbish with graphic design. It's one thing I'm not great at, but I do have a schedule that's nearly ready. I was trying to. The problem is I've had a schedule that's been like a 3-day schedule for so long, and when you have to panic pivot when you like lose your job, you're obviously thinking about like I could have taken several days off, but I'm glad that like even the day it happened, I came home and I did the God of War stream, and then on Wednesday. Like I was still trying to sort out a bunch of stuff, but it was more like let's just start streaming and we'll try and get as much kind of done. So I've started a whole bunch of games now that I'll work into like an actual formal thing. But I think it was a very scattergunned approach because part of the thing is obviously, I mean, you can see the viewers here now, and thank you to everyone who's watching. But obviously, this is the viewership at like 10 o'clock at night, so it's whether or not I become an afternoon and evening streamer, and this maybe shifts my sleep schedule. Poor Jessica. But like it might be that I do afternoons and then I do evenings and I work that in as my shift and I spend my mornings either sleeping or doing something else. Because obviously obviously I'm Scotland, so the time zones are a wee bit pernickety. Shiniest Crow, thanks very much for joining. Galway Ghost, is there a way to help support me? Yeah, there is. If you follow the channel, it's massively appreciated. If you watch streams, it's always good. Like one of the things that I'm trying to do at the moment is I'm hoping that I can work my way up to partner. And with partner on Twitch, one thing that's really, really important is viewers. And it's the thing that tends to be the spanner in the mix, because what you need to become a partner and to be eligible for partner is for you need to have 75 viewers which is great because 75 viewers is we're flying at this point. But you need to have 75 viewers like consistently for like a month, before you can
Per stream.
per stream, so you can apply to become a partner. So, I'm not saying that you have to watch absolutely every single stream, but if there's a way that you can just have me up, and it is on average. So let's say some streams I'm on 65 people, and other streams I'm on 140. It is the average. But yeah, I do need to make that 75, because if I don't make the 75, they do just kind of throw you in the pan. So yeah, that's another option as well. If you've got Amazon Prime, you can actually subscribe via Prime if you're not subscribed to someone else. I post on Tumblr every time I go live, which is great because Tumblr's introduced a thing that's really, really quite powerful actually. Tumblr now embeds the stream in the post, so anyone scrolling through their feed will actually see that I'm live. And I believe you can follow from there, Joy. You can't chat, but...
You can't chat, but you can subscribe and follow if you want. And if
Yeah.
you do click on it, it will take you to here.
Yeah.
I think it's a great feature. I often, even if I'm working and I can't give your streams my full attention, I will leave it in the background so that you get my lurk, basically, because my lurking counts as a view. So even if you don't have the time to watch and you see the alert and you want to help Aye out, give him a lurk, leave a tab open with the channel running so that when it comes up that he's got another view essentially.
Yeah.
But do join us. We do have fun. I tend to be lurking in here during the week just because I do get so much done when I'm listening to you stream. It's become one of my things where if you're streaming in the background, it's a good background thing for me to do because it's not. I find a lot of gaming streams to be very, very loud and distracting. This one's nice because it's usually you chatting away and occasionally there's a lot of stuff happening in the game, but usually it's just you being your lovely self and chatting to people, and I find that it's almost like if anyone misses going to Starbucks and working on their laptop, it's almost like that feeling of productivity where you've got the feeling of people around you. It's nice, and especially for those of us that couldn't do that before COVID and all sorts of stuff, it's still nice to have that sort of social interaction, and you've got such a lovely community. You really do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm to be honest, I'm really chuffed with the community that we've got on stream. It's something that's like just always really nice, and I feel like I'm almost now saying morning to to people.
Yeah.
It's getting to that stage where there's a really good group. So another way that you can support me is Ko-fi. I believe that Tundra dropped the link somewhere, which I hugely appreciate as well. You can do it as a one-off, so you can chuck me. I think it's like a couple of quid, and it does help. Because obviously there's bills and stuff that I want to pay towards, and it lets me buy some food for the cats as well. And sorry, just back on the Tumblr thing, I think Sky, you mentioned something there that the embedded views don't count. I don't know how it works so much on that, but if you do click on the thing and you have the stream open in a tab, that counts as a view as far as I'm aware. And the thing is, and this is the weird thing from a streamer perspective, I stream on 12 different days in a month. I stream for 25 days, easy peasy. And on the average, 75 viewers is the tricky one. It's the one that you really have to push for. And I'd like to thank you, Joy, because obviously you reblog a lot of the times that I'm going live, and that naturally helps me given your following on Tumblr.
But it's you that's retained it. I mean, I can give you eyes to things, but it's you and your community that's retained a lot of those people. I see so many of my people in your Discord. It's so nice when I pop in. I'm a lurker. I don't have a lot of social spoons for interacting with people, but the community that you've built up, and it's people that I've never met either. They're now in my Discord as well because they've kind of followed over from that as well. So it's a nice wee community. It's very, very welcoming, and I always feel safe when I'm in these spaces. Whereas there's times when I've done other things like this and I don't feel safe doing them. But you and your people keep a very kind of nice atmosphere. It's nice. Discord. That is the.
I suppose I'll drop the Discord link there. If anyone would like to join, obviously you're more than welcome to. We have a really great community that I'm exceptionally proud of. And one of the things that I would like to say actually is I've got a couple of emails recently from digital agencies who are
Mhm.
looking to partner with streamers, and it's people who have joined my stream briefly, um, and they've liked what they've seen. You know, they're obviously looking at different. They go and they like assess different groups, and I always get I'm getting emails now from people saying, we really like you, we really like your community and the way that they interact. We want to like partner with you and do stuff. And of course that helps me in another way as well, because like the financial obligations of buying lots of games to stream tends to be a bit of a tough one as well. So I need to make sure that I've got enough content, but I've now got these digital agencies saying we'll actually give you a code for the game. You can stream the game. You can do giveaways to your viewers and stuff. So we are hopefully going to be doing that pretty soon. Actually, we've got a vampire themed game that we're going to be doing a giveaway for, and we have both, like, I think what they've said to me is they'll give me the deluxe version of the game, they'll give me a standard version of the game. Which one of them is up to me to give out. I'll probably take the standard and I'll do the deluxe as a giveaway, but then they also give me each individual DLC for the game to give away as well, so we could have a whole bunch of stuff like that. Is there a way to have an Amazon wish list for games?
You could do a
Steam.
Steam wish list.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of stuff on Steam, but like, again, it's one of those things that if someone sees a game that they're keen to have me stream, they can kind of gift me anything. You don't need to go off my wish list, because my wish list is like a mess at the moment. And Sky, I do have a Throne account, and I maybe need to start thinking about looking that up. I've not built anything, but a Throne account is like a PO box, but it doesn't reveal my full name and address to the people who buy stuff. So I'll have a wee look. I mean, like Stanley Parable. I would play Stanley Parable, actually. I've been meaning to get that. I've always
It's
heard
a fun
good things
one.
about it. But yeah, I mean, like, again, this isn't. Yeah, I don't like this. This bit is really difficult for me. I can't be cap in hand. Joy, you've been extremely supportive, and the whole of Tumblr and the Discord has been extremely supportive. I'm not used to the fund my life because I stream thing.
Yes, it's a very different
It's
mindset, and it's something
yeah.
I also struggled with. When I first started doing things, I struggled really hard to be like, "Hey, I'm broke, but I have content, but I can't afford to make it unless I have support." You're in
Yeah.
kind of the same situation. Obviously, there's
Yeah.
slight differences, but it's hard to do. It's hard to do, especially when you're used to working and you don't want to feel as if you're taking advantage of people. But the thing is
Yeah.
that I've had to learn is you're not taking advantage of people. That let people help you when they want to help you, and
Yeah.
if it means leaving a lurk in the background, or if someone wants to buy, if someone's got a Steam gift card or something and they want to give you Stanley Parable and watch you suffer, that's on them.
there's definitely, since the news of obviously my work not continuing, it's been very much like that bit in Rogue One where it's like you're being rescued, please do not resist.
Yeah, that is exactly what it is. It's very much, even to this day, I get people going, "Stop resisting help."
Yeah, it's like people
It's like
people
you're
have
trying to
been
help it.
people have been like overwhelmingly kind. I like, it's I obviously the stuff about the dystopian capitalism thing was very like doom and gloom earlier, but like there is a lot of faith to be had in people. People are inherently good, is my main belief.
They are, and when people call Tumblr a hell site, and it's an all, I mean, there was a thing on Twitter I saw the other day about how Tumblr's the meanest social media. That has not been my
What?
experience at all.
No, fuck no.
Tumblr is where I have made some of my best friends. It is
Hmm.
where it is not it's not hyperbole for me to say Tumblr saved my life. It's not. I have the medical bills to prove it.
Yeah.
I have the PayPal that shows Tumblr was going, "No, you don't get to die. You get to live with your crimes of crucifix nail nipples. You get to stay alive and endure this for as long as possible." But it was there is such a lovely community on Tumblr, and I think it's because if we wanted to be the type of influencer who just takes advantage of people, we'd be on fucking YouTube. We'd be on Facebook. We'd be on Instagram. We're not. We're on
Yeah.
Tumblr.
Well,
We're
no, I mean,
gremlins too.
it's like I think that there's something wonderful about Tumblr. Like it's weird actually because like see, like I joked about it earlier this week with Manscaped, right? The ball shaver
Yes.
folk, right? Now I noticed that the ball shaver folk have an actual Tumblr, right? And I know it is just marketing. I know that they are a corporation, but like it's quite interesting how they've been there's someone in their marketing team that knows Tumblr well and
Yes.
and knows how it responds to things. And like it's not like fucking Wendy's on Twitter. I hate Wendy's on Twitter. The Wendy's takeaway restaurant place in the US. The one that's always like back chatting other brands and shit like that. I hate that. But like I find that Manscaped's actually done quite well for itself because it's basically been able to weaponize Tumblr's desire to rip the piss out of fucking anyone who advertises. Like, because normally you get really weird adverts on Tumblr. Normally you get
Yes.
like absurd adverts on Tumblr. And I think this is the first. I would almost say this is the first group that's actually got a product, because I've seen Manscaped being advertised on YouTube for years.
Mhm.
Like, as in, hold on, let me just. Yeah, this is my Manscaped razor. Yeah, this is the thing I shave my balls with. It's the Mark II actually. Yeah, sorry, I don't know why that's on my desk. It's normally downstairs. I don't do it at my desk. I've got a carpet. That'd be a disaster. But like, that's they're now on like Mark V. You now have a ball shaver with a light on it. I never knew I
Which,
wanted.
I'm sure there's a, that would be good, I think, for a lot, not even just for balls, it would work for everything, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something that I'd actually never really considered before. It's like, I actually could use a light on my shaver. Hang on. It says, I like Shimmertails. You heard the last 30 seconds and you decided to click follow. This respect. But yeah, that's it's. I think it's the first main brand that's like actually cracked Tumblr.
Yeah. I mean, Denny's cracked it and then Denny's fucked off because Denny's was like, well, I've done my job here and just left. But Denny's was the breakfast food place that was all over Tumblr for a long time. It was really, really funny, and then they just left.
Like, one of the things that I've been doing, and I think a lot of people undervalue Tumblr. I mean, if you think about it, that if you think about the sales of Hunger Pangs, like Hunger Pangs, I mean, I dare say you've gotten sales through Twitter, but like from a fandom perspective of Hunger Pangs, it lives on Tumblr, right?
It does. Right? And I have a really funny story about this because so a lot of the best sellers on Amazon get to where they are by paid ads. A lot of them have paid to be there. A lot of them have paid to break the top 100 of paranormal, whatever. There was a point last year when I actually broke the top mainstream of not just bisexual romance, because that's a very small thing in of itself. I actually broke top 100 of Amazon's romance paranormal. I broke into a thing that is normally clandestine and you have to pay to be there, and I did it with Tumblr. And it pissed off some people because they paid to be there.
Yeah.
And it was, who the fuck are you? And I'm like, I'm from Tumblr.
Don't mess with us.
Yeah, and some of these people are on Facebook and they talk about how, oh yes, if you're not paying 20,000 a year in advertising, you'll never get anywhere. Suck on that.
Yeah, that'll
Tumblr decided we're doing the thing. We're doing the thing.
But I mean, it's something that's like people underestimate Tumblr massively as like as a website. I'm not about to embark on like a sales pitch for Tumblr, and I don't encourage any more corporations to join Tumblr. Go away, we hate you.
Please don't. Please don't.
But like it was funny because I'm in the middle of making a streamer CV, which is CV but for like your streams, and like you've like a lot of people do it, and they put down, you know, what their average viewer count is, and all the rest of it, and they maybe put down some stats like, you know, how many followers they've got on Twitter or TikTok. And then I was putting Tumblr, and I was like, holy shit, like my Tumblr following and like my average monthly notes like really does eclipse quite a lot of like the folk who put their Twitter stats up.
Yes.
And like that, and of course Tumblr like shows you notes from like actually original content as opposed to like reblogs of reblogs of reblogs. So it is it's quite interesting. I mean, I don't look at Tumblr stats at all. I imagine there's lots of people out there that really do have like a really tight idea of exactly their like the number of notes they get. I just piss into the wind. It tends to blow back whenever if I find that like it's a good post if it's between 1,000 and 5,000 notes. If it's over 10,000, you've done something horrifically wrong, and there is a war going on in the notes that you need to just never look at. Don't look at the notes. Any post of mine that you see, just don't look at the notes.
I'd say the same for mine, but it tends to be I briefly glanced at Crucifix Nail Nipples the other day, and it's still going. It's 300,000 and something, and still going. And I'm like, surely everyone alive has seen this post by now. No, it's still, people are still finding it for the first time, and that's just mind-boggling. But I think I have about 10 posts that are 300,000 and more.
It's like they just shoot off into
my
the ether.
notifications are just like destroyed. They don't work.
Yeah. I mean, like I tend to look at notifications to get a snapshot of how the past 24 hours is kind of gone. But, you know, I remember, and this was the problem that I had with like tags and like reblogs, and now it occasionally hides what people write in a reblog in the notifications. So it's like you have people who, you know, are trying to argue with you, and you're like, well, I didn't fucking see it. Like, the reason why I turned, like, I mean, I remember the first time I went quote unquote viral on Tumblr, I had to turn the notifications off on my phone because it was just draining my battery. Like, it was constant. Like, every single your post's been reblogged. I don't want an individual notification for every single reblog. That's horrifying. God knows what yours is like, Joy.
I have notifications for everything turned off because my Discord is constantly going, my Twitter's constantly going, my Tumblr's I just turned them off because it was destroying my mental health. It was just like, ADHD, I'm very responsive to things if I see things, but I've gotten to the point where I saw so many notifications it broke me, and now I can't respond to them. So I just turn them off because I can't deal with it. But people really do underestimate the power that Tumblr has as a social media. I mean, it's not a social media platform; it's a blogging platform that just so happens to have PvP social media, and you know.
That's a great way of describing PvP. It was like ranked Tumblr matches.
Yeah, but it's people really. I mean, the only reason I know what my stats are is because I had to declare myself as a celebrity in the UK, because if once you get over a certain amount, you are obligated by Her Royal Majesty's tax revenue to declare your numbers, so that because you can't advertise certain things in the UK and parts of Europe. So I had to figure that out. I had to actually look at it. I went, Jesus Christ, I have a lot of people. And yeah, I'm a Z celebrity in the UK because of Tumblr. It's very weird. I feel like I'm on a list somewhere that's not just to do with the tax man. But yeah, Blaze is randomized PvP. Yeah, I fully agree with that. I think Blaze is fantastic. I love it.
It's not released in the UK yet. It's only in America.
Yeah, I think they were trying to go slow to see if something did break, and it's just as well that they did, because it broke catastrophically in the first 24 hours. My post was only supposed to go for 24 hours, and it got stuck for 3 days, and they couldn't get it to stop. And they were like, "We know you only pay for this. Don't worry, we're not going to charge you." Like, they were frantically
sorry.
Yeah, but they were trying to fix everything, and they were kind of like, this is why we did it with small people first. Blaze does work on mobile. They're actually bringing Blaze out for mobile. Blaze, amazing. You can see the posts on mobile, but you can't Blaze from mobile, and they're getting to the point where they can do that. but they're doing it in small batches so that they can actually fix the problems, because they've actually, whoever owns Tumblr now is actually letting staff fix problems, which is fantastic.
I will say, people have heard me complain about Tumblr like before in posts like glibly. Whoever's running the show now, I think there's like a lot of really hardworking staff that are really sorting shit out. I imagine the amount of refactoring of code that's actually gone into some of the features recently has been really good. Also, I'd like to take this time to say thanks very much, Ampersandworm, for the follow. I really appreciate it. Hope you enjoy your new emotes. Tauntfoolery, thanks very much for joining as well. Hopefully the bead lizards were cracking on. You're going to have to post them in the Discord. Hope to see you then.
Yeah.
Right. Are you still good, Joy? I'm cute. I don't want to hold you up for the rest of your day.
I think I'm okay. I could keep going if people wanted to keep going for a wee while longer. I will have to dip out at some point to make dinner though, because that's Holly will make me very much aware of it soon that she's never been fed it ever in her entire life. But,
maybe we could go 20 minutes and we can have a 3-hour stream if that works.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll 20 minutes. We'll call it an end time in 20 minutes.
Sound, that's good. I mean, again, this is like kind of test bed for us, and I think it's been pretty good.
Yeah.
You've all been lovely.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. It's been lovely having everybody here. The problem is, we were talking about doing a podcast because people have said to us before, I've listened to you guys talk for hours, you should do a podcast. And I'm going, I don't think we'd be able to maintain a single topic because of the way we both jump off of each other, but we also jump off the chat so much as well.
Yeah, there is something about having the chat there that's like really good to just like, because we could totally go off on all the tangents under the sun. I mean, see, sometimes when we've been planning the Sunday streams, or when we've been, I mean, our chats after streams tend to, there's been a couple of times where it's like, we've sat for an extra like 2 hours.
And it's suddenly Aye's like, it's 2 a.m. for me, and I'm like, I haven't had food in 12 hours.
Yeah, so it's audience participation talk show. I mean, it's good fun. I like doing these kind of just chatting, because you'll notice that I would, well, now that I think about it, probably not, but I would like to think for anyone who's watched the other streams where Joy's been here, this is like the first just chatting stream. So this is the first stream where I've not had to like try and Skyrim or try and Heavy Rain. Or try and Vampire. You know, it's actually been quite nice being able to like I've actually been able to have Discord open up beside me. I've been able to look stuff up.
It's been nice. It's been nice and chill, and
I was able to mid-stream go to joydemora.com and copy and paste it into the chat. Amazing. I feel like I should do just chattings more often.
Yeah. Do you know, it's a nice change of pace though, because even, I mean, playing the games themselves is it takes up your attention span as well. But even just watching them, and then I'm trying to watch the stream as well for comments and everything else. I mean, it's a lot of I've got respect.
It's a lot
for
of brain power.
Yeah, I have full respect for people that do gaming and the streaming at the same time, because I don't think I can do it very well. I can only really do it with Frostpunk, and that's because I know Frostpunk like the back of my hand. I don't think I can do it with any other game. I can do Frostpunk in my sleep at this point, but it's, if I tried to do it with something else, I would not be able to maintain a conversation with the Twitch chat. So that's something as well. I really admire your ability to do it, because I would not be able to have that split conversation. I struggle just watching the games and doing this.
Yeah, I mean, I think like I've been playing games since like forever, and I feel like it's quite natural to have conversations while like doing it. Of course, sometimes if you do take your eye off the game and you're reading chat, like there's sometimes someone sends like a chunky paragraph and you're like sitting squinting at it for ages.
Yeah.
And you end up like, as Sky's saying there, like fucking running into like a tree or whatever it is. But generally, like I've always found it quite good to just narrate what I'm doing in the game. It's like, I don't know, since last week, when I've been taking more of a, like, I'm going for longer streams, I'm doing, it's whether I do it in 3-hour chunks or 4-hour chunks, like, because I actually felt there's a wee bit like less pressure when I'm playing like open world games. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've not had as like normally when I was a part-time streamer. Holy fuck, that's a weird thing to say. Last week when I was a part-time streamer, like obviously I was there for the 2.5 hour stint that I had, whereas now I don't really take much issue with going on just chatting, like actually saying I'm going to narrate to the camera for 5 minutes and then I'm
Yeah.
going to jump back onto the game, because like sometimes trying to if people have questions about politics, for those who don't know, I'm a political channel first, I suppose. I play a lot of games, obviously, and my stream mainly revolves around variety games. But if anyone follows me on Tumblr, it's all about the politics on Tumblr. So if you like your fix of Scottish and British politics, you should totally annoy me there.
The
Send me loads.
politics and enabling me to write crack fic, basically.
Yeah.
That's basically what Tumblr's for at this point.
I'm you know what, I'm just like there's gonna be a list of like me shooting my shot when it comes to like random fanfic titles, and it's like, let's see if I can spark Joy's imagination. They'll all be Omegaverse themed, and they'll all be centered around Notting. So
I always promised myself I would never actually. I'm not a huge fan of Omegaverse. No shame on anyone that is. But this is my first ever one, and I hate the fact that it was a troll. It's too similar to how Fangs started, because Fangs was a shitpost that got out of hand, and I'm like, it's happened again. I'm gonna get known for this.
I'm trying to figure out what obviously Notting Hill was like the kind of it's right there for the taking. I wonder if there's like other stuff.
Probably. I'm sure if you think about it long and hard, you'll come up with awful names to torment me with. I'm sure chat will as well.
Yeah, we're just gonna throw, like, if we throw enough at you, something will stick. But of course, we've got to bear in mind that we actually want Hunger Pangs too. We don't want to waste Joy's time on sucking joy into sucking the joy out of writing Hunger Pangs. Joy, I also love that you're writing fanfic of your own novel.
Yeah, that's what Sugar Vladdy is. Yeah. Also started as a shit post. Opal Mermaid, if you're out there, I hope you're happy. That's almost as long as the actual book at this point. But yeah, it was when I see how I work, I'm like, how did I not know I had ADHD until 3 years ago? It's very much like, how did I not know? Because like it was always, oh, you're just quirky and a lot of energy, and it's just like, I just saw the Sheriff of Nottingham, and I hate that. I hate it so much. Oh no. No, Robin Hood fanfic. No, don't make me do it.
Well, considering that Disney's Robin Hood was like a lot of people's sexual awakening.
I'm not gonna lie, it was one of mine too.
Yeah.
I mean, the fox can get it. Yeah. Either fox can get it.
Either fox can get it.
This is when the furry rumours start going again.
Don't worry, everyone used to call me iFur Scotland.
Yeah, so. I mean, I still do like my wee Arctic fox. I can't remember who drew it for me, but if you're the person that drew the Arctic fox for me, thank you very much. I have it on my folder still that I look at every now and then. But when I look at how easily influenced I am, and people are just like, occasionally I'll get someone just slips an idea into my inbox as if to say, wouldn't it be a shame if someone wrote this, and it's just like, stop it. I have to actually have a schedule now. I have to do the thing.
Sky's asking a good question. So what differs fanfic of Hunger Pangs for like a spin-off or a sequel?
The difference for fanfic that I'm doing is that the characters are not in the same world. So if I was doing spin-offs, which I do actually have spin-offs planned because people keep asking for Ria's story, for example, those will all be set within the canonical world. My fanfic I will probably only ever do in like a alternate reality type thing, which is more like the way Sugar Vladdy is. There's no vampires or werewolves. It's just humans learning to be human. But it's the fanfic, you can do anything. I am not going to do fanfic of my work on my AO3 that's in canon or any more that's not already there, because that's not really my place to be doing that. That's what my fandom should be doing. And I feel sometimes that people say, "Oh, I don't want to do it because Joy's writing fanfic." I'm writing Sugar Vladdy. That is its own project. I think it can stifle the fandom slightly when the author is in the fandom, but at the same time, people enjoy it because they're getting free content, which is fine. I enjoy doing it, but it's I don't know, it's hard because it's also like trying to come up with constant ideas, and there's the worry that I'll do something in fanfic that I would have wanted to use for the canon, and then I can't do that, not because of any sort of plagiarism thing, but because certain platforms demand exclusivity for first publication. So there's some things like, say, with Amazon, if I ever wanted to do Kindle Unlimited, which I probably never will, I couldn't post anything on my Patreon because Patreon counts as breach of contract for that. So there's a lot of it's not so much a personal thing, it's more me being mindful of the legalities and the contracts I have to have with certain distribution platforms. If you're not worried about those things, that's fine. But I've had to think about it before because I've had Amazon go, "Oh, it looks like this has been published before," and I'm going, "That was a snippet, it wasn't the full thing."
Yeah. No, it's interesting because obviously, like, you know, I think we spoke about this last time, but we were talking about how obviously you obviously can have like a highly engaged community, but you always don't want to like do sort of headcanon, like you don't want to hear any of that stuff, and you almost and it's like it's difficult when naturally as an author you would love to encourage like fanfic of your work because that means you've got an engaged community, but then you know you can't really be part of it without, you know, you just got to cover your bases.
My own integrity. I can't compromise my integrity by doing it. I don't look at any of the fanfic that's posted because I open up AO3, I post Sugar Vladdy, that's all I look at. I don't really, under the Hunger Pangs tag, I don't look at anything else. Because if I don't want to accidentally take from somebody, but also at the same time, if someone sends me headcanons and it turns out that that's something I've already planned for, I then have to go change the canon because it looks as if I could have stolen it from that person. And a lot of people don't care. A lot of people will be really enthusiastic. Oh, they used my idea. But there are some people who try and sue for that sort of thing. And Shauna Maguire talks about it a fair amount, where she was doing her Marvel work. They had to straight up change things because someone sent her a headcanon that was too close to the canon that was already established. It just wasn't out yet. And it completely buggers things because there's so many people that turn and go, "Oh, actually, they used my idea." Well, no, you're taking clues from the canon and you're putting things together. Because if the author's doing their job properly, you should be able to make predictions for what happens.
Yeah.
The whole everything's a twist is not good writing. You should be able to piece together clues that tells you where the story is going, and so that your headcanon could well be accurate. But
just don't tell the author.
just don't tell the author. Say you can ask me questions. By all means, ask authors questions what they think. Just don't say to them, "I headcanon this," because then you also don't need the author's validation. You really don't. Headcanons are valid in themselves. You don't need anyone's permission to say, "Oh," because that was another thing too. I had a thing the other day where someone said to me, "Do you mind if I headcanon Vlad is autistic?" And I'm like, "Absolutely not. You can." He's written to be neurodivergent. He was written with. I had a big beta group of autistic people with me as well because someone said he seemed a little autistic, and I went, "I should probably have sensitivity readers for that then, because although I was basing him on my own ADHD experiences, there is overlap. So I wanted to make sure it was done properly and I wasn't falling into any harmful tropes or stereotypes. And so when people come to me like, "Oh, do you mind if I stereotype people with like Vlad being autistic?" It's like, absolutely not. And also, you don't need my permission for that.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if the author minds or not. It's how the character how you view the character is more important to you than how I view him. So does yours now, guys. Like that's I've done my part. I've told my version of it. If you want to have your own thing, go for it, 100%.
Yeah. No, that's a good way of looking at it, and like I do like how it very much still is your characters, but you've almost given people a template to build their own stuff kind of towards. Because like they obviously love the characters that you've built, and if they want to add more to it in their own way, they can do that.
Yeah.
But I suppose like it's interesting. Sky's question there comes from like copyright, and I suppose
Yeah.
like I'm wondering if someone was to email you with something, I'm not sure if that would come under their copyright as such, would it? Unless they sent you a full on like Word document that was copyrighted up. It depends. Copyright law might be completely different in the US. It might be literally anything anyone's ever wrote, but
you might not get them under a copyright, but you could probably get them for some form of plagiarism that's not quite copyright. Because you can't copyright ideas. You also can't copyright titles, which is there's been a lot of authors have found that out the hard way when they've tried.
Was there not like
cocky?
Cocky.
You cannot copyright individual words, but she tried to say that no one else could use the word cocky because that was her trademark, and you're going, that's different. You can't do that. You can trademark your series titles, but you're not trademarking the word, therefore you can't prevent other people from using it in the thing. Anyway, she got taken to court and it got thrown out. But yeah, there's a lot of things with like if you get accidentally inspired, you will sometimes sit there and go, did I think that myself or did I take it from someone? And that's a real problem because and it's been funny because sometimes I've thought that myself and I'm going, did I take that from someone? And it turns out I've taken it from myself. So that's been like a fun thing because I go back through my Tumblr to see if it's been in the replies and I realise it's my reply, it's come from me. But there'll be inevitably times where you see something and go, that's not a bad idea. And you internalise it and then you forget where it comes from. And you always run the risk of someone going, actually, that's my idea. I was going to write that story. Which is another fun thing I get a lot. I post the Hunger Pangs quotes, and I get people non-sarcastically saying, someone should make this into a book. And I'm like, yeah, the buy links are there.
Please.
I did, thanks.
Please purchase.
Yes.
Lexicon Fish raises the good one, the ABO lawsuit, which I think is the Omegaverse lawsuit. There was a big one where we were trying to basically copyright a genre, a subgenre,
a trope. They were trying to copyright a trope.
Yeah,
which is even less doable than copyright. You can't copyright a genre. You also can't copyright a trope. But she tried to copyright. Oh, I did a Megaverse for straight, so that I was the first person to do that. Therefore, I own it. I'm going, that's not really the claim to fame you think it is. That's you know.
You made an extremely camp and gay trope straight. Congrats.
Yeah.
Well done. What's the source? Me.
I've done that twice now recently, and I'm going, I do that quite smart sometimes.
Imagine that also extends to. Sorry, this is kind of back to the copyright thing, but obviously when like you were like I think there was a post or two, and I think you'd mentioned it on here, but it was like what to call the sequel to Hunger Pangs.
Yes.
And of course that comes with its own problem because like what we've just done with the this show, AyeSphere, patent pending. You know, like we're now in like, you know, someone could suggest an absolute belter of a title, and then you go, fuck.
That the thing for me was someone actually took my title.
Yeah. And
they suggested it. And it wasn't even on a post talking about titles. It was someone made an unrelated comment about something else, and I'm sitting there going, "Fucker took my title. I have to come up with a new title now." And I was trying to play it off like, "Aha, yeah, great, really funny." And in the back of my head, I'm going, "Well, there goes that. I have to redo this whole thing that I." And the thing is, once you trademark like certain things for like, because I have to trademark the series and everything else, I have to go back and change a lot of things. So it's like I try very hard to turn a blind eye to certain things, and it just means I don't check my notes as often on certain things because I don't want to accidentally get spoiled for my own stuff.
Yeah. No, I mean that's
if that makes sense.
No, it's the way to do it. You've kind of got to protect yourself as a creator. Obviously, I don't have the experience in publishing books, but you know, you've kind of got to be protective of your own creative process, and if that means switching your brain off to certain things, I mean, like, it's very not comparable, but I remember when I was doing my ancestors video, the only other video on Ancestors I watched was a guy reviewing it, rather than talking about the game, and I was critiquing his review. I didn't go and watch every other Ancestors video under the sun, because the moment you do that, your brain can just get tunnel vision, and you can go down a route that actually stops you being creative in other areas. But man, that guy's Ancestor video fucking sucked. Such a whiny bastard. You should watch mine instead, everyone.
It's a good one.
I need to get back to actually writing my annual YouTube video. It turns out that that's an annual event now. And yeah, that was another thing, Sky. When we were doing the Republic Commando video, it could have been a response to someone else's. And there was another fucking group that stole my title, which really, really bugged me, because I had the perfect title, and then they changed it, the bastards. But it is something you've just got to kind of watch out. If it already
Galway Ghost, I was just reading that one as well. If you'd already gone to copyright a title before the person, well, the thing is, you can't copyright a title, but you can use it. If you've already used it and then the person gives the idea, that was my idea, you can. But the thing is, authors have gone back and gone, no, look at my timeline, look at the thing that I've done. But the rumour starts that it came from within the fandom, and then it keeps going. Which that happened to, I think it happened to Shannon as well. It was she was able to produce receipts basically saying, no, look, I have a history of this, and this. You can see how far back this is planned. But the rumour, the Terry Pratchett saying is, a lie can run around the world in the time it takes the truth to put its shoes on. And it's as soon as did you hear that so-and-so took this idea from so-and-so, and then that takes off. And the author can come back and say, no, look, here's my proof, and then, but people are kind of going, that doesn't really take off compared to the sensationalist, the author stole this. So yes, you can protect yourself, but it's whether or not it works in the eyes of the fandom. I'm lucky because I'm so involved in fandom spaces in general that I probably could be like, oh, hey, this is a thing. And it probably would spread farther than someone else saying something. But in general, for authors, it's a good idea to have some level of distance between you and your fandom, just because it's healthy for everybody to have some level of separation.
Kind of protective barrier.
Yeah.
Because there's also that parasocial relationship thing, which I feel like isn't particularly relevant. But obviously, I've had some folk who have never really been engaged with my community at all. And they'll follow me on Tumblr, and they'll be a follower for maybe a week, and then they'll message me as if I'm their best friend and stuff like that. It's not something that happens regularly, but there can be people who I'm fine with everyone in my community making in-jokes. There's in-jokes about me, and I don't mind the whole self-deprecation thing, but see someone I don't know who's never been in a stream and never they're not been around, and they come in and they're giving me pelters as if I'm their mate down the pub. It's a bit odd.
Yeah, there is that degree of I had to turn my DMs off on Tumblr. I only have mutuals on Tumblr because I would have people messaging me really constantly, and it makes it. The thing is as well, it killed my ability to have actual conversations with my friends because I was so socially burnt out that it completely destroyed my brain. And I'm like, I can't maintain this. And it was people who, because they see snippets of your life online, they think they know everything. And it's hard, and it's hard to try and find that balance. I spent the last year basically putting my head back in order because it's been destroyed by the sort of I must be available to everyone at all times mentality that I had developed. Because that's a big thing with content creators. It's as if you feel as if you're not giving your whole self, you're not giving enough.
Yep.
But the truth is, you have to hold some of yourself back, otherwise you will go completely off your rocker.
Yep.
And that was a problem I was having. I still really struggle to talk to my friends sometimes because I'm so drained from being sociable online. And people they've noticed that I don't post as much. And it's I'm trying to reclaim some sense of myself. And I will always be thankful, and I'm so grateful and fortunate that I have my following. But I also need to have some sort of garden
Yeah.
fence.
Yeah,
I need a garden fence. Doesn't have to be a wall. I do need a little bit of distance that I can breathe and just like have something that's for me and it's not all for public consumption, because that's
yeah,
not healthy. And that's why
yeah,
you see so many YouTubers just going off the deep end and they're just making questionable decisions constantly because their brain's been fried because it's constantly churning out every aspect of their life is for consumption. That's not
yeah.
healthy.
Nah, I think you're absolutely spot on there, especially with like, you know, just constantly thinking of, you know, like every individual kind of facet of your life to be like, oh, this needs to be packaged up for consumption online. Um, I remember when I went to I tried to access Edinburgh Uni's mental health team, and I remember just saying like, so, look, I've got, you know, like I for Scotland's like a big part of my life. I really enjoy doing it. It's good, but I'm having a wee bit of struggle because this was when people really started to refer to me as I, and I was having
Mm-hmm.
this kind of like it wasn't like an identity crisis or anything like that, but it was just when people started referring to me as I, then that became like a big oh, this is actually becoming something now. This is how people know me. There's actually, you know, I mean, judging by the follower count on Tumblr, there's a lot more people who know me as I than know me as my real name, and that was really fucking odd, and I couldn't grapple with that. So I was like, I was having a couple other issues at the time, and I went to Edinburgh Uni, and they were like, "Huh, well, good luck," and
Yeah.
that was pretty much all I got from them. Uh, but so
It's a weird one because even my therapist is wonderful. I love her. But when we first started talking, when we were just getting to know each other, um, she could not reconcile the fact that I've been using the name Joy for 15 years.
mm,
So it is pretty much it is embedded in my identity now. It's never going to go away. But she was kind of like almost trying to infer that it was like, is it creating like a split personality? And I'm going, no, one of them's just like work. Like it's not a persona in that it's fake. It's just a different facet of your life that
yeah,
is more amplified because of this, and it responds to a different name. I mean, Mothman calls me Joy now. My parents have occasionally called me Joy now. It's it sticks, but it's also a
yeah,
weird thing because there's this part of yourself that other people see, and they see it completely different to how you see it yourself.
yeah,
And that really messes with your mental health. For me, but she could not get over the name thing. She thought the name thing was detrimental. I'm going, no, it's the lack of boundaries online that's the problem for me. It's
yeah,
not for me personally, it wasn't the name because I've been using Joy for so long. But it's it is a weird trying to explain it to people because they kind of go, well, aren't you just being yourself? And you're going, well, if you're trying to protect your identity, you're not using your credit card name,
yeah.
you know. And
Especially
it's
when you're visible to like so many people, like so much, like so many more people than you would be like otherwise.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, I used to get not as much anymore, but there used to be horrible harassment campaigns on Tumblr if you were
mm,
friends with certain trans people or if you were seen to be publicly pro-trans. I don't see them as much anymore because I have a lot of people blocked. But
yep.
there was a time when I was getting people. They attempted to dox my PO box, not realizing they were doxing my lawyer. Um, because I had the foresight to set that up. I was like, because
Oh,
when I founded everything, I went to him and I said, well, I need a business address for this. And he's like, I'll use mine.
yeah,
But when people tried to, when they found that, they were like, oh yeah, she's really stupid. She put our thing out there. Let's do this. That's my lawyer. And that was a fun lesson for them, I imagine. But there are people that are horrible like that. If I'd used my
yeah,
real name, they could have found my parents.
yep,
You know, if I'd used my credit card name, they could have found my parents. They could have harassed my elderly parents, and that's not okay. So you do need to have some sort of separation to protect yourself. And I think that's why a lot of the influencers we have that do use their real names, they are having a complete crisis because there's no way for them to turn it off.
yeah, yeah. Once it's out there, you're gubbed. I mean, I always saw I as just a way of like, I think Dracotta was saying like it was a nickname, but it's also a way to like just compartmentalize that aspect of who I am and what I do. It's not a persona that I put on. It's not like I'm incredibly
Mm-hmm.
shy and, you know, not ridiculous when I go elsewhere.
It's the part of
It's
yourself you
just
want to share.
Yeah.
That's the way I think of it. It's the part of yourself that is to me, it's the extroverted part of myself that's happy to be online and to be talkative and to be sociable and to do these sorts of things. But then at the end of the day, I want to be able to turn the camera off and just go be me, which is not a different person, but it's a different level of intensity.
Yeah, I mean, I think like that's another. No, funnily enough, bibliomoral, I am not shy. I'm not shy. I'm massively kind of extroverted in my work as well, and I like all that stuff. But like, there is that bit that when you're going online or when I'm like going on stream, like there's no point in me like sitting on stream and being miserable as fuck, because like not many people like. I mean, people like hearing me grunt and rant and moan, but they don't like the like bitterness. If I was to like, you know, I save that for when I turn off the stream cam and cry in a corner somewhere. And sorry, just to comment on cinnamon and pancakes, but feel absolutely fine about commenting on YouTube videos. Like, even if it is a great video, mate, that's never going to cross the line. I think it's when it gets like weirdly intense, when you're starting to like, you know, obviously I've seen some creators where like you're starting to ask about their family and shit, and you're like, nah, that's you know, there's a barrier there. Like, you know, Jessica appears on streams occasionally, but you'll notice that like Jessica doesn't like sit beside me while I stream and stuff like that, and that's because like she quite likes playing that role. Same, I imagine my Mothman isn't always on stream, and there's not a Mothman face reveal or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's just, you know,
we're fine with people. We're fine with being seen. We're fine with him. Like, he's been seen more because of Holly Mop. But it's you know, not everybody can have this
be on
level
all
of
the
energy.
time. Yeah,
not everyone can be on. Like, I joke that I'm an extroverted introvert. It takes a lot for me to work myself up to be this sociable. I could not do it for like more than like what we do. I could not do what some influencers do where they're doing it constantly. I think I would probably go more insane than I already am. And I don't mean that in a sanest way. I mean it would actually make my mental health worse.
Yeah.
But it's that kind of there's some people who just, they're happy to be behind the scenes. And they're fine with being glimpsed. You know, it's not a big secret. They're not, you know, for some people it is, and that's fine as well. But there's just it takes a certain personality to be able to do certain things.
Exactly.
And for me, it's been a weird one, because I've always thought of myself as quite introverted, and then I've actually found more confidence from doing what I do. It sounds weird to say that Tumblr helped me have confidence, but it did.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Because like I think there's a lot of things that come with, like, you know, actually there's lots of people on Tumblr who just reblog, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. I think it does move in. Like, I rarely tweet, actually, but I like quite a lot. I mean, people would probably see my Twitter and probably regard me as quite shy, because I'm not like constantly tweeting the way other people do. If you see me on Tumblr, it's a completely different story. Like, I'll be more commentary on things on Twitter, but like on Tumblr, I'm making posts and being a bit more like aggressive in the way that I talk about politics and things like that.
It's a different community as well, because I feel like Twitter is more aggressive. And the joke is that's because all the assholes that left Tumblr went to Twitter, but Twitter has always been more aggressive. And it's a very different community feel. Like, the things I can get away with on Tumblr just being like the example of like the way I do marketing. If I tried to do that on Twitter, I would get the riot act read to me by other authors going, "You're being very unprofessional." Tumblr, it's a bonus.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not me doing it deliberately. It's just how my brain works. Like, I'm sporadic. My hyperactive score is ridiculous. And I think it's because I've been seeing glimpses of myself here, I'm actually noticing how much I fidget, because I never used to think I would, you know, whenever I do the ADHD quizzes, it's like, oh, do you fidget in your seat? I always tick no. I've been watching myself for the last 3 hours.
We've now got proof.
I fidget. But it's, if I try and be the way I am naturally on Twitter, it will not go down well, because it's a different mentality. It's a very different sense of community. I do it on Tumblr. I'm with my fellow. I said feral there, but that's not wrong.
I was gonna say that was a Freudian slip and a half.
But it's a very different thing, and Facebook as well is a whole other thing as well.
People still
yeah.
follow I for Scotland on Facebook. I've got like the proper like oldie like Scottish independence supporting like 70-year-olds like following I for. I don't post on Facebook at all. Like
Yeah, I see
I
it.
realized it was a bit of a lost cause because no one was interested in anything, and I couldn't comment the way that I would on Tumblr. And to be honest, I've not posted anything on Instagram in ages either because it's like, like it's
Yeah.
different. It's completely and utterly different.
Yeah, I post Holly on Instagram. That's about it. I occasionally do. I'm doing books, but even then, like with Instagram, members of my family follow me, and I love them, but I don't want them to have access to that level of me because it's
Yeah.
I don't know. It's different. It's different for that. But with Facebook, I have my Joy Demore Facebook, and I know people still follow it, and people are they want access into things. Facebook's just so bad for my mental health. I can't even log in. I log in and it's just like, oh, what was that? It was the Scottish comedian that's like, oh yeah, Facebook's for realizing that your granny is racist. That's pretty much
Yeah.
what my Facebook experience is. I log in and I go, oh, I hate everybody I used to know. Great, fantastic. But
Yeah.
I'm in my stride with Tumblr. I'm staying there. I will be there when it'll be like the Titanic when the lights are going off and you're just I'll be playing my fiddle in the background.
I was just thinking, yeah, it's exactly the way you kind of want to do it. Sky, I'm waiting for you to change your legal name to Sky because I actually feel I don't actually refer to you now as your other name. You say Instagram is maybe what you saying, UNMC? Yeah, Facebook's social media algorithm is absolutely shit because it relies so heavily on ads. It's an absolute war zone. Tell you what, Joy, what we could do is we could start a LinkedIn.
I have one.
And so do I.
One.
It's not a fun place. I actually
No.
I despise LinkedIn as a community, mainly because it is always people who are insufferable pricks, talking about how they get up at like 4:30 and fucking grind, and on their way to the office they always give like $500 to the homeless person, and then they arrive in the office and it turns out the homeless person's the CEO. Like there's always just these like so much like filler stories on LinkedIn. It's a bin fire. Yeah, everyone add me on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I'm not hard to find if you know my actual name, funnily enough, because there's not many of me kicking about.
I'm there as Joy Demora, and I get offers for doing writing positions. I look at them and I go, "Do you actually know what I write?"
I'm gonna add you now. we're gonna be LinkedIn friends forever.
That's fine. That's actually where a bunch of the video games that wanted me to do the sex content found me, was LinkedIn.
Oh, sweet.
It's not actually that dead. It was more just like that was the virtual reality people that were like, we would like you to do this, and I'm like, what's my pay? Like, do I need to put my name on it?
Well, if they're ever looking for motion capture, you can send them my way.
I will let them know. But I do get job offers on LinkedIn from people wanting me to write content. I'm going, I don't think what you want me to write is what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You say that, and then David Cage and Heavy Rain will be in touch, and they'll be
Oh,
like,
God.
we need a quick time event sex scene. Joy, please help us.
No, that would be awful.
You'll be like, no.
No, I don't think there's any amount of money that's worth that, to be honest.
Yeah.
You could offer to pay off all my medical bills, and I'd be like,
Yep.
I think I'll struggle.
Yeah, I'll struggle in peace, thanks. Well, what do you know, Joy? We give ourselves a hard stop at 11 o'clock and then we speak for another 15 minutes. We were like, it'll only be 20 more minutes, and here we are. Over.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Almost 40. Funny how that turns out. Right, I think this is probably a good time to end the stream. Joy needs dinner, and I need to rest my eyes if I'm going to be streaming again tomorrow. And I'm going to be doing job hunting in the morning. So yeah, that'll be us. For everyone who's watching and who hasn't managed to grab both copies of Hunger Pangs, you should 100% check out joydemora.com for all of your Hunger Pangs needs, and get the short stories too. I also need to realise that if I'm going to be doing just chatting streams, I'm going to need 2 of these because I ran out of water like 45 minutes ago and I really need a fucking drink. And I was like, it's never a good time to be like, oh, just I'm going to head and grab some water, guys.
I'm just dehydrated. We could take it in shifts. We could, because I used it when Holly started choking in her tutu. I left you alone for a couple of minutes, so that was
we can set a wee timer. It's like, okay,
yeah.
you've
Come
got
all the time, you'll go get water.
you've got 45 seconds. Go, go, go. Remember, the average response rate is 1 in every 10 applications. Yeah, it's 1 in every 50. Oh, great. That makes it better. Cool. No, I appreciate everyone watching. If you liked this, please consider giving me a follow. At the moment, the AyeSphere with Joy is a Sunday thing, but that's because Joy's got a lot of other stuff to be cracking on with, and I don't want to take that away. So yeah, if you liked what you saw, give me a follow, and you'll be notified when I go live throughout the week. And that's always good. Joy, do you have anything to plug? I'm totally gonna post a couple of links while you do it.
Just if you're not following me on Tumblr already, follow me at the Bibliosphere. I'm also on here fairly often. I lurk during the weekdays. I lurk during here. You're my productivity stream. The audiobook I'm hoping will be out the end of this month. So if you're interested in the audiobooks, make sure you're keeping an eye on things. I will be posting links. I hope you enjoy it. And thank you, Aya, for again forcing me to plug my stuff and for also being a big support. It forces me out of my comfort zone, but it's good for me.
No worries at all. And I'll just talk to folk through links. If you'd like to join the Discord, you are more than welcome. We have a vibrant and exciting community all the way through. Uwu, Plasmus, you can watch the VOD. Sorry that you joined a wee bit late, but we will be back next week. We will be back. But there's a full VOD there, and hope you're able to get there. If you want, you can also check out my YouTube. I also have another YouTube called Eye for Scotland Live, which I don't have linked in a command yet. And if you would like to support me on Ko-Fi, you can follow via the link. You get special roles in the Discord. You get access to some behind the scenes stuff, and you get to see lots more pictures of the cats. So there's lots more cat photos in the thing. Also, if you subscribe to the link that Sky just posted, it means that I'll actually get the option to customize it. So I'll I'll actually be able to write Eye for Scotland Live. Hey Dorian, sorry if you're just joining. We're just about to wrap up. We have been going on for 3 hours and 20 minutes now, and Joy needs some food. I need some sleep.
I need to go feed the dog. That's my main thing. She's going to be through here grumbling at me in a second, going, "Where's dinner?
Where's dinner?"
Okay.
But yeah, guys, if you're just joining or you want to watch all the stuff previously, the VOD will be up on YouTube, and it will also be up on it'll be up on Twitch for like a wee bit. Hi Mum.
Hi Dorian.
Mum, brilliant.
That's an old nickname, Mum.
Okay. No worries, Dorian. Well, apologies. If you give me a wee follow, though, you will see where I'm next going live. We also post on Tumblr when we go live as well. But thanks very much, folks, and I will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
This is bye from the AyeSphere. Woohoo! See you in a bit, folks. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.